we go. Jeez. I swear on my life, I was on time today, live chat. I was on time today. I was sitting here trying to go live, but it just kept failing on me. I don't know what the hell that was. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Welcome one, welcome all. Appreciate you hanging out here. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about now, thanks to Asha Sharma. Elder Scrolls 6 update? Small, you think. But those 8 asterisks have led me down the ultimate rabbit hole. We will dive into that today, no doubt about it. We will also be diving into other Bethesda-related updates, like ex-Bethesda devs talking about Starfield again, and what decisions they make. I want to dive into that. And then last but not least, I want to talk about Lord of the Rings remasters. After that, I am going to go play Oblivion Remastered here on my Switch 2. And you can expect thoughts on that tomorrow, unless something breaks. But tomorrow I'll be at an event, so I'm going to be busy. So if anything does break, unless it's like huge, might not dive on that right away. So expect Oblivion Remastered thoughts, especially because Bethesda promised, again, Oblivion Remastered updates. I did mention this, but no one grabbed the headlines. But all of a sudden now people want to talk about it because Bethesda tweeted about it. Strange how that works. Nonetheless, thank you everyone for being here. Bro was sweating trying to get into his chair. No. This is shower hair. This is shower hair. Anyway, thanks guys for being here. Good suggestion, RSNOS, on playing on stream. I was thinking about it, but I wanted to make sure we continue our cadence of slop. Not only that though, the other thing I was thinking is like I can't the reason I stream for about like 3 hours max is like, for example, right now my wife is out, and so the dogs are in my care, so I don't want to leave them neglected for too long, and I don't like to step away while I'm streaming. So it's usually like a 2 to 3 hour thing for me. That works best for my schedule. And then also I want to play some Metal Gear Solid 4 tonight. If I throw some time into that, that'd be sick. So anyway, let me catch up with the early birds here. Just want to thank everyone from RS Nos to Skara. Who else we got here? Grim. We got Raphael in the building. We got so many early birds here today, ready to speculate about Elder Scrolls 6. And thank you. This is, again, my most insane rabbit hole. No clickbait. We're going to speculate. And I'm very excited about that. Let's see what we got here on the super chat. This one comes from Red Bandit, who says, I think Elder Scrolls 6 will take place in High Rock and Hammerfell due to the story, probably around the Adamantine Tower. Yes, I agree with this. I think it's basically confirmed at this point based on, like, Fudge Muppet did a really good video breakdown, like looking at the trailer and landmarks. I think Camelworks was on that video, actually, I want to say. They did a really good video just breaking all of that down. I wanted to move that in case I spill my water. That'll be like the end of my Switch 2. But also, like, when you look at the lore that we're going to dive into today as part of my Elder Scrolls 6 speculation, I think Hammerfell is like a guarantee. It makes too much sense on so many story levels and things they can do with it. So I'm pretty excited about that. Do you think a Valenwood Elder Scrolls game is impossible to make due to the moving maze-like jungles, and how hard would that be to implement? I think maybe, so I'm not deeply familiar on that level with like the Elder Scrolls lore, to tell you the truth, but I will say this, the design that you're kind of describing sounds a little bit like the time jumping that happened in Starfield during one of the missions that was clearly inspired by Titanfall 2 in its campaign. So there are, of course, tricks that you can use to like teleport the player, like they'll hit a trigger and it'll move the actor to like somewhere else in that contained space. I'm simplifying it, of course. Jesus, guys, that was a lot of super chats at once. Thank you. But yeah, like I'm simplifying it, but that's something that they could do to kind of keep like reorienting the player a little bit. So I think it's possible to create like trippy mazes for sure. How hard would it be to implement? I can't say for sure. I've never worked with creation tech. Matthew Belmont's here early. Let's go. Welcome, dude. Austin Bricks, thank you for all your hard work and care to all. Oh, thank you. That's very kind of you to say. It's my pleasure. And thank you guys for caring about anything I do. It's certainly busy out there. So again, thank you. I appreciate it, Austin. Ice Cap Lord. Well, if it isn't my favorite soon-to-be Nintendo news channel, Spider-Man was fantastic. Marvel Tokon is an easy Game of the Year contender. Yeah, I'm still waiting for Tokon to go secondhand. I haven't picked it up yet. So, I'm looking forward to that when I can play it. But yeah, Spider-Man was fantastic, and I'm glad you're supporting the news for Nintendo, because again, we're gonna have some news. I'm so curious. I've not watched anyone's streams or anything. I am so curious how Oblivion Remastered is going to work on this bad boy. I've got mixed expectations for it. Like, I think it can surprise the way Fallout 4 did. But at the same time, like, these optimizations are going to be huge because they're going to feed into the console patches and whatnot that's going to happen for Oblivion Remastered. So that's good. It's got to be Dominion with those 8 letters. I like that one. I like that. That's another great prediction. We'll add that to... Let me add that to my document here. That's a really good one because I did some brushing up on my lore just slightly. Again, I am much more... I'll say this when we start the slot, but I'm much more of a Fallout lore guy than Elder Scrolls. I never really played Elder Scrolls for the lore. Like, Fallout, I definitely get invested in that shit. Like, even like the little side characters and whatnot, but like Elder Scrolls, I'm like, I definitely need to like start diving deep again, like go back to Morrowind, do the whole dive, like start journaling my entries like I usually do, like go fucking crazy with it. But yeah, it was good to brush up because there is some sick lore, like the Battle of the Red Ring. I like, as part of my research, I got familiar with that again. I'm like, fuck, this is sick, dude. So yeah, this is a good suggestion. We'll get back to this. Uncharted Wolf. Finished the Dishonored 1 campaign, currently doing the DLC. Unfortunately, you were right. Why are you guys saying it like that, bro? Do I play Emily or Corvo in 2 first? So Corvo's moveset is basically the same in Dishonored 2, so you could play it that way. I think the canonical way to play is Emily, first playthrough at least. That's what I did. So I'd recommend Emily. I do think Corvo feels better, but Emily's got a really interesting suite of moves that changes a bit of how you interact with the environment. That's what's so special about that game, is like both characters interact with the environment around them in very different ways. And so the levels can feel completely different as a result. Like, you know, when you play as Corvo, like the way his blink work versus Emily's, I think it's called Shift, where she like doesn't blink, but rather she like almost lunges to these spots. So there's like a different arc. So she can reach certain places that Corvo couldn't. So it's really interesting, but I would say go Emily because I think canonically it makes the most sense. I love Corvo though. It's definitely not wrong to play as Corvo, to be clear. So if you're like, I'm really feeling that, then go for it. But I think Emily first playthrough is what makes the most sense. Dynasty Warrior, good to see you back, man. Thank you for your generous super chat. Crazy thought, Matty. I know how you feel about Halo Studios. Do you think, given Bungie's uncertain future, that Xbox could poach some laid-off Bungie talent and use them to spin up a Halo team? I guess that'd be like a whole... I just don't trust Xbox right now with like spinning up their own studios. We don't know how this whole reset's going to go with them. If the reset goes well and Xbox shows like, oh, they understand from a business level how many creatives are needed in a room to make some good shit, you know, then like I would trust them a little bit more to, with that new learning and how they've kind of put teams in the right areas to try to build something themselves. But poaching them, I don't know if Bungie's really the solution, because Bungie's so scattered right now, as in like they went through multiple waves of layoffs, and all those people who got laid off either like left the industry or went to different studios. So now they're even more scattered. And then the second wave of Bungie talent that got laid off was still some core Halo team stuff, but like not really a whole lot of them compared to that first wave where it was like Salvatore, for example. It's like, what? You know, a lot of core Halo people were gone. So if they scooped them up in that first wave, maybe, but spinning up a new Halo team, I'm scared about that. It's like, you might as well just empty out all of Halo Studios, like just dump them out on the floor and put people in the empty bucket, I guess. But I don't think that's going to happen. So I think they just need to find a good partner. I think that's what they need. So yeah, I think the Bungie devs are just too scattered to do that. But it's a really good theory. Oh, that was a spoiler. Sorry. Thank you for your super chat, Sean. For future notice, don't super chat spoilers. I'm glad you enjoyed it, though. Quite the ending. Puppet Master Blade. If you're going to possibly be diving into Elder Scrolls lore, does that mean more dedicated videos about the lore will be a thing in the future? It could be cool to see your thoughts on certain parts of the lore. I usually like to use the lore to inform speculation about what's to come or what could be. And I guess that's the whole point. I guess I'm kind of saying yes to your question. I guess I just don't do like dedicated, like here's what happened in the Great War in Elder Scrolls. Like I don't find just that alone particularly interesting. Like I think lore is more interesting when you consider the implications, like what could build off of that rather than this happened. It's like, well, if I just wanted to tell you this happened, I mean, you can go read it for yourself. Granted, the videos make it more digestible, but I like to usually tie it into something, which is kind of what we're doing today. This is like more of a, I like embracing the galaxy brain levels of speculation, which we're going to do today. So the lore will inform that, but you could definitely expect, of course, as we get closer to TES 6, I need to brush up pretty heavily. So you can definitely expect more when we start to get a better picture of what exactly as TES 6 is. I was about to say ES 6, which would have been accurate, but anyway, good question, man. Thank you for your interest. Do you prefer a custom character for Zero Company? Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to make the Republic Commandos, right? So I'm going to customize whoever the fuck I can. I haven't watched any of the previews because I saw that they were really positive. I was like, okay, I don't need to see any more. I'm just really excited to dive into that one. I got a couple of reviews coming up, so I might not end up being able to start Zero Company until I get back in September for my trip. But that will be top of the list, dude. I just can't wait. I think the game looks spectacular. Hoping we get Fallout 5 or Starfield levels of companions to romp around with varying moralities and deeper romance than the Amulet of Mara. I like that. Yeah, dude, this is something that Bethesda could do better with in some areas, I think. Like, okay, so I'm going to sound like a shill for a moment here because people never want to hear anything positive about Starfield. I love Andreja. I think she's one of their best written characters ever. Like, I go that far. Everyone is like, Starfield's a terribly written video game, blah, 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 blah. And I get that. There are like pockets of it that I'm not crazy about. There's more that they could do with the lore. It feels weird setting a game after all of the interesting stuff. Like the lore for Starfield is really neat. When you look at like the war between the United Colonies and forgetting the other one, but they went to war and it sounded sick. What the hell's wrong with my voice? It sounded sick. But they set the game after all of that. But beyond that, I thought the best written stuff was 100% in Andreja's character arc. Like her conflict with religion versus marriage, her desire to commit to you long term, yet knowing that her religion could call her back at any moment. The biggest failing of the game is Shattered Space because they could have put all of that to the test. They could have given her a whole companion storyline that would have made so much sense to go that extra mile because her entire character arc is based on that. And they did nothing with it. But I think Andreja is fucking amazing, dude. So if they write more characters like that, oh, dude, like that'll be fantastic. It just can't be a one-off. That's the problem. Thank you for the correction there. Freestar Collective. That's the name I was forgetting. I'm not going to say your name out loud, bro. Jesus. A bottle. My goat. No, thank you. What's one obvious and one niche thing that you want Bethesda to bring to Elder Scrolls 6? Mine would be deeper guild quest lines and animation variety. I was just talking about this today. I did the interview. I saw someone leave a comment today about asking if when the Creation Engine 3 investigation interview with some modders is going to happen. And so I just recorded that today. So I'm excited to start producing that video. But we were talking a bit about things Bethesda could do in the future. And for me, I think what Bethesda needs to do is have the agency of gameplay match the story. I feel like that's a bit out of sync. So in Bethesda games, there is a feeling of like you can do everything. And by that I mean like more simple stuff like pick up and put down objects, smack someone in the face. But I think it needs to go further. Like I want to be able to kill everybody. I want stories that are a little bit more dynamic. I think those things are necessary hardcore elements that Bethesda's been ignoring. So I think more hardcore games would go a long way for me because I feel they had their excuses like 10 years ago where I understood why they were more casual friendly. But now like hardcore things are trending up and people are learning that it's worth, like gamers have grown as well. They want more hardcore experiences. So like we can start in a more hardcore area because I look at Elden Ring or I look at Baldur's Gate, like uncompromising in what they are, with some things that make them easier to access, like Baldur's Gate 3's presentation, or I think of Elden Ring, your ability to kind of level up, grind a bit, and just go beat up some bosses a little bit easier than prior Souls-like games. Like you can do all of that relatively easily, but it still doesn't mean that like the investment in a Souls-like experience is gone because of that. So I'd like to see Bethesda just generally get a little bit more hardcore. I don't think they need to go all the way. Part of me likes the ease of play of their games. Like I know they're a little more casual, but I do like a little bit of that, but I think they can make it a bit more of a crunchy RPG. And then one like niche thing, they're definitely going to do city building or some shit that I'm going to hate. So if they're going to do that, I'd really like it if, as I built the city, interesting people would arrive at them because of like its prominence, and they would have unique quest lines that would give me like really unique rewards. Not like repeatable quests like, oh, now you've got a guy who's going to tell you how to deliver packages to different holds in Hammerfell. Like, no, I'm talking like I've like a Fallout shelter moment. Like I've spent a lot of time building up my shelter, or in this case, my city. And now a very unique person has taken interest because of the economy of my city, and they have now settled here, and they give me a very unique quest line. That feels like a very living, that feels like a very living world. I'd love that. So that would be my request on that. Let's see here. MW Ruger, thank you for your super chat. This may seem random, but what did you use in Fallout New Vegas for your platinum? Oh, what build? Sorry, I skipped the word. I love trying new builds. So for that, you kind of had to do like a jack of all trades build because I was trying to get the entire platinum in one save file. So a lot of the reloading, it was different from Fallout 3's where you had to like make different karmic choices and kind of like break the system. But what I did was more jack of all trades. So I had a pretty general stat line that I know I favored luck a little bit more because I needed to get all the different card game based trophies. And when you play blackjack, if you have, I think 8 or more luck, or is it 7 or more? I forgot where the scale stops. I think it's 8 or more. You can win some hands automatically. And so I spec'd it out where I think I was at like 7. And then I went to the New Vegas medical clinic and I bought the luck upgrade there to increase my stats. And then you can also wear like the naughty nightwear. And so that gives you another bonus of luck. And so I basically like either maxed it out or close to maxed it out. And so that helped. Otherwise, though, it was a very like general build, like, mid strength, a little bit of decent perception, a little bit higher intelligence, just kind of flat across the board, but favoring most of my points into luck because of those trophies. What's the most you've ever spent on a statue or figure? And what would be your limit? There's a $1,600 Makoto statue that I've been on the fence about. Well, I've never gotten that close. I barely spent $300 on this guy here, and I love Revan. You don't see that type of official merch from him. So that is probably like, I saw this same type of statue, but it was for Darth Nihilus in Florida, and I almost jumped for it. Almost. But I decided not to because I just wanted to not overspend and overconsume, which I've been guilty of doing in the past. Thank you, Retro Rebound. And so I was trying to be very conscious of how I spend my money. I also didn't know how I was going to get it back home, and I didn't want to break it going back home. But yeah, I'd say $300 like tops. I would not go further than that. I see, like, okay, for example, oh no, I just knocked off Freeren's hair. This is my Battle Network statue that I've got like right here on my desk because you know how much I love that Megaman.exe. Such a high quality figure, dude. Like I could not believe this when I pulled it out of the box. Like he's pretty tall too. I'm moving back a little bit. He's pretty tall, and this is $40. Like it's got his backpack on the back and everything, and it just comes with a little block here that lets him stand, and all you have to do is screw his head on. And so, yeah, dude, like I think that this kind of appeals to me more. Like the paint's really nice. The character face is really well done. You can see that too. So they've just done a great job with figures where you don't need to really break the bank to get, I think, quality ones or even niche ones. So yeah, dude, that's kind of how I approach it. I don't try to spend too much on figures. Let me catch up a little bit here. What's the white controller behind you? That is my Fallout controller. When they launched the TV show, yeah, I bought this like instantly. This is awesome. It's hard to see here. I'll change the focus for you. So you can see here, it's like all the different Vault Boy pictures. It's sick. So, yeah, I love this controller. I've unfortunately become a controller guy. This is my Starfield controller, and then my PlayStation controller is the Spider-Man 2 one. So I got some nice controllers. This is my favorite one. This is my Xbox console controller. I don't use this for PC. I use my Starfield one for PC. Starfield's got the rubber grips, which feel really nice. This does not, unfortunately, which bums me out a little bit, but sick controller for sure. Glad to see an Elder Scrolls chat as a non-Fallout fan. Biggest wish for ES6. Can't stay long. Carnival's on here on my island. Have a good stream. Well, thank you for stopping by and chatting, dude. Hell, I don't think I fixed the focus all the way. I don't know. I think it's fine. Hang on. Yeah, we're good. Okay. Well, again, thank you for stopping by. Biggest wish for ES6. People are gonna hate me, but like, dude, no settlement mode. Like, I want Bethesda to focus on making a role-playing game in a open world setting. There is no coincidence that their game started to become more controversial when they introduced this system, and they have not let go since Fallout 4. Skyrim did not have it because Skyrim did not need it. All of their games do not need it. If they're going to include it, the game has to need it, which it definitely won't, I believe. You want to do boat building, that's fine, or ship building, ship combat, that'd be sick. But just please, God, no fucking settlement mode that's just going to rob the whole game of its experience, you know? That's my 2 cents. I know Bethesda knows it's okay to make me grind a quest line for tens of hours before some guy I just met makes me the president after doing 5 quests. Yeah. Yeah, there's a balance. There's a way to make it believable without, like, making it endless. Again, I think the perfectly balanced quest line in Elder Scrolls is... Well, not like entirety of Elder Scrolls, but for your example here is, I think, Thieves Guild. Like, Thieves Guild has a repeatability with it and how you can rise to the top, and then there's, like, an epilogue. But you do get to the top in a believable manner, I think. I love that quest line. Having to choose and miss out is underrated. I agree. Yeah, like games thrive off of like the, you know, they'll look at the telemetric data. They'll be like, oh, but only 5% of people saw this. Why did we spend like $8,000 or who am I kidding? $8,000. It's like someone's fucking work for a month. Why did we spend $80,000 on this quest line? It's like, dude, that collectively matters because when people start sharing their experiences, that gets people into it. So yeah, I agree. Did you see the lore information they dropped for Fable? No, I didn't. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. I saw that they posted something for Fable, but I did not tap into it yet. But I got to check it out. Would love to see what they got cooking over there. Very excited for Fable. Beloved Emperor, thank you for showing up here. Hi, Maddie. Today I joined you in the 30s Club. Hey, happy birthday, dude. Do you think we'll see the Outer Worlds 2 DLC at Gamescom? Apologies if this was already asked. It wasn't, dude. But again, happy birthday. Thanks for being here. I hope you're having a great day, man. Yeah, so I think this could be possible. What did Avalon say? He said September, right? Yeah. Yeah. I really like the Outer Worlds 2, so I'm excited for its DLC. Definitely if the DLC does what the first game did, where the first game left a good taste in my mouth, just like Outer Worlds 2 did. But Outer Worlds 2, I had more critiques, story-wise. So if Outer Worlds DLC adds, like, the ability to really side with the villains, that would be awesome. If Outer Worlds 2's DLC maybe adds in, more companion stories to kind of expand them more. Like, I feel like it's different. Outer Worlds 1 just wanted a little bit more content. Outer Worlds 2 needs some fattening up on the back end so that it can like focus on the right things. It can feel more fulfilling to play. Like, the stories are complete in the Outer Worlds 2, but just they weren't as captivating, you know. That front half of the game is so fucking good though. It's so good. So I hope we do see it. I think we will. When is Gamescom? Matthew Sims. It is August. I should know. August 25th to the 29th. End of the month. I'll keep you posted. Yeah, Splicer. Obsidian's behind a little bit. The reason I'm optimistic about their future is they know they're behind on things like siding with the villains. And I mean, you could be very evil in the Outer Worlds too, but not being able to side with the true villains in the game, I think is weird for how much freedom that game gives you. But also romance. They're behind on that for sure. Are you excited for Kingdom Hearts at D23 this week? I have my expectations firmly in the fucking sewers on that game. I really like, you know, like, I don't know, man. I love Kingdom Hearts. I really do. But just seeing how much the Final Fantasy team cooks and just how long it takes for them to do anything Kingdom Hearts related, and the fact that they're showing like realistic Sora and it's just Quadratum. There's no Disney worlds yet. Like, I'm not going to get hype about Kingdom Hearts with no Disney. That's what I'm there for, Disney. So I'll be excited when they start showing Disney stuff. And then, of course, it depends on the Disney properties. You need to... What you need to do, if I'm Disney, you need to do an Inside Out world. And then you need to run back, of course, Toy Story. And we need to actually get a Zurg boss fight. Then we'll be good. All right. Let's keep going here. Shaqson. Sub from your Fallout 4 speculation days here. Thank you. Long time. Do you think Elder Scrolls 6 will be set right after Skyrim or later in / the next era? Oh. I think they could get away with doing later. I think they should do later. I think you need a clean break. That's what these games benefit from. I'm going to go later. I think that would make sense. Good question, though. Yeah, I don't think it should be right after Skyrim. Because I think the passage of time is something that is very... You want to talk about underrated parts of Bethesda games? Between Fallout and Elder Scrolls, the passage of time is sick. Because when I'm playing like Fallout 4 and I know how much time has passed, I wonder what is... And I guess the TV show answered this, which is why I was so intrigued by it. It's like, okay, well, all these years have passed since Fallout 1 and 2. What does that side of the wasteland look like now in this timeline? Has it progressed at all? And like the show's answering that, right? With like cold fusion and stuff. It's like, oh, it's kind of moving, like both sides of the continent are moving toward an energy solution of some kind. So I think that stuff's really cool. So I think they'll do a nice clean break later in the next era. Quistafa, thank you for your super chat. But that's this philosophy. How can we make as much money with as little work as possible? The community will make / fix the game for us. Yeah, there was a point where I could very easily just knock this slander off and be like, guys, stop. They're not being their own friends right now. And so that's why Elder Scrolls 6 needs to really deliver, because Starfield was delivered in a way that was so vacant that it felt like Bethesda really was counting on modders to fill it up. And then Starfield had issues with its mod tools, or just grabbing people via a player base, which led to a lot of modders fleeing the scene. So it kind of compounded a little bit more. I wouldn't say I have like utmost faith in Elder Scrolls 6, but I think if there's a chance that they can deliver on any game in the recent decade, it would be this one, because it's more in their wheelhouse. But we'll see. They could do something crazy stupid and just like completely go left with Elder Scrolls 6. If you could create a new faction, what would it be? Well, if you're talking Fallout, you just gotta pick like a point in history, and like, because like I think about like with Fallout, with it being so technologically driven, that like Luddites would be very interesting, like pure off the grid people. I think that would be kind of funny to explore. Um, Elder Scrolls, because like it's funny with the whole technology thing and the control of it. That's basically the Brotherhood of Steel. I think for Fallout, another interesting one. I'm like testing my history knowledge at this point because what's interesting is Fallout's also hit a lot of places like that. I think would I'd want to see them kind of explore like kind of science with the Institute. I always like Fallout folklore a little bit. I feel like something to do with that, like myth hunters. You know, they kind of explored cryptids in this interesting way in 76. And I think that would be a cool thing, like just myth hunters in Fallout. I think another thing that's more like gimmicky stuff. I think another thing that'd be very interesting is really establishing a true political faction that's not the United States, like a communist organization, like in Fallout it'd be China, that's like built up a real force. I think that would be kind of cool. Yeah, a faction of cowboys, obvious one whenever you're in Texas. For Elder Scrolls, I have no good answer. I'm not even going to pretend to be able to fling something out there for you. Like, let's see here, because they cover the mages, you could do a Bard's Guild. They kind of have the Bard's College creation by King Ath Creations, which answers that to me. But otherwise, I would just pick a class and build around it. Chaotic Kramer. Hot take. Elder Scrolls 6 would benefit from having 4 to 8 settlement areas to build a base / castle / town, so long as it isn't at the expense of pre-made areas. And you're right. You're right. It would be sick. But it is always at the expense, right? Think about like 76 and how many vacant spots that map has. Think of Starfield and the vacancy of every fucking moon. Think of Fallout 4 and how they just leave areas open to set up settlements. Like, it always comes at the expense. If they can balance that where it's like, yeah, like you said, like there's 8 areas, but like, why would they go less? I feel like Bethesda would do the opposite because they are just obsessed with numbers. They'd be like, oh dude, you know what? Like, we had 20, I'm giving you a soft number. I think it's like way higher than that given the location count in Fallout 4, but like we have 20 locations to set up settlements. Why not do that times 5 in Elder Scrolls 6 and let them really build not just a city, but the world? Man, fuck that. I hope not. I could see this whole thing where they're like, the Great War took place, and then as part of the White Gold Concordat, they seceded Southern Hammerfell. It's in shambles due to the battles that took place there, and you're here to rebuild it and build it in your form. Like, fuck, dude, I could see it, man. God, they're gonna have to really work hard to overturn me on that stuff. A-Gub, let's see here. Hot take, but not really. Elder Scrolls is more a fantasy sandbox simulator than an RPG, and that's okay. Still doesn't hurt to have more and better RPG elements, but narrative wasn't always their strong thing. This is a really good point. I think that's fair. I'd throw in there for you that they could go back to Morrowind elements with like, or I mean, this is even Oblivion, like spell crafting, you know that? Like creating your own class, the way classes scale, those sorts of things, right? I think that would go a long way. Personally, where you could lean into the sandbox stuff and make it deeper. Let's see here. T. Christos. Is Shattered Space a sign that Bethesda is lost? First mission I did was a long grind for a guy running away because his dad was strict. I turned it off. This was my low point. My answer would be yes. This was my low point where I'm like, this is new content at $30. You have all the world of feedback for Starfield, and this is what you could deliver. And I don't even want to hear about like resource shortages or talent issues, because my theory is like, number one, Bethesda can command more budget, and that would be an Xbox leadership problem at that point. But ignoring the budget for a moment, I know people got a very low opinion of Bethesda, and I try to respect that, but like, they're better than Shattered Space. Like, for a lot of people, like, oh, that's exactly what they delivered to me. Of course, like, that's so obvious, but like, I don't care if I sound like a fanboy when I say they are capable of way fucking better than that. So for me, when I'm like, you shipped this, like, you've shipped crap before. 76, of course, when it launched spoke for itself, but like, you shipped Shattered Space, like, bro, what? So yeah, that combined with Anniversary Edition felt like a real big combined slap in the face over that year. I'm hoping with Asha now kind of taking the reins, but also their new communication, their willingness to listen, I hope it really does turn things around for them. We'll see. You know, but yeah, Uncharted Wolf putting it perfectly. Wasn't just mad. I was just really disappointed. You go watch my Shattered Space review. I was just super sad with them. I was like, Jesus Christ, dude. The 1-1. Does Rockstar hate Jeff GTA 6 trailer that week? I think they just understand that they can just vacuum up all the air around other games and make sure more people are buying their own. And so they're going to do that. Do they hate Jeff personally? I'm sure Jeff hates them. That's for sure. Sciatech, no, I do not have Asha's email. Not in a million years. I'm connected in some way, like as in not with her, but like I have people I can talk to at Xbox for sure, but like I never got in super contact with like Phil. I tried to be like, hey, we'd love to interview him. Show him the Todd Howard interview. I'm like, hey, there's a price to be paid, I imagine. You know, they never said this, but just generally speaking, in my experience, there's a price to be paid about speaking your mind pretty bluntly. A lot of people just kind of quietly make their conclusions about you as a person. That's the vibe I've been getting lately. Not even because of that opportunity, by the way. Just in general, I've heard that. And so it's like, I'm learning as I work on myself personally. Like, the less I care about this shit, the better, you know? And by that, I mean not the content and, like, the people who watch it. Like, I care about that deeply. But the people who work here, it's like, I'm more than happy to make more friends. But if people don't want to be my friend or they don't want to collab and want to do things that, like, the audience wants to see, I'm just going to try and see what we can make of it, you know? But if they're not willing to play ball, then there's only so much I can do. What's the latest retro rewind movie recommendation? Also, besides a return to former Elder Scrolls 6, where do you think Bethesda should focus on modernizations? Well, thank you, Lyndon, for your super chat. Latest retro rewind movie recommendations. Let's see. I've watched a lot of new shit this year. I'm trying to think of anything old I've watched this year, because I've watched like Obsession, Project Hail Mary, Odyssey. I watched Toy Story. I watched, of course, Spider-Man. Was Mickey 17 this year? When the fuck did that come out? Why is that like at the top of my head? That was not this year. Yeah, that was last year. I was like, when the fuck did that come out? I remember watching that. I was just thinking of Robert Pattinson movies. I'm like, these are multiple of the things I'm talking about. I'm forgetting a movie right now too that I saw this year as well. This isn't a movie recommendation. I mean, this is such a shitty recommendation in general because like I'm just late on it, but I've been watching Sopranos and I'm on season 4. It's so good. Uncharted Wolf clutching up again. He said go watch Heat. Yeah, Heat is one of my, oh my God, dude. I fucking love Heat. I was just talking to my Retro Rebound editor, Josh, about Heat. I think that movie is so fucking fantastic. So good. But yeah, I'll throw in Mickey 17. I think that movie flopped, but I'll throw it in there. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. Definitely not like Pattinson's like best movie ever, but his performance in it is really good. But like the actual story and stuff, like it's not like, oh, I remember it tit for tat, but it's a good movie. That's a good watch. Have you ever fired up? No. No, I have not. Sopranos is overrated. What? It's so funny. I'm hearing that more often now, like, because my wife is watching it with me, and she was talking to her cousins about it, and they're like, "Oh, I hate The Sopranos." I'm like, "You fucking what, bro?" Like, to me, it's an objectively good show. You can say it's not for you, but to say it's like bad or overrated or it sucks, I'm like, it's literally, I think, the funniest show of all time. Whatever happened there? Ralph getting shoved down a flight of stairs. Like, it's just, there's every episode. It's like, I laugh at least like 4 to 5 times. Satanic shit. Black magic. Like, dude, that show is so fucking quotable. Tony's just a loose cannon all the time, just pointing like aggressively and yelling in people's face. It's so, Chris, like, Chris just saying he compliments a girl's ass in front of his own girlfriend. She's like, "You said she had a nice ass," and Chris is like, "What? I was just trying to be positive. You know, she's your friend after all." It's like, dude, these people suck so bad, and the way they talk, it's perfect, dude. I think that show is so funny. I think I've played a lot of good shit this year, but I think Sopranos, in the terms of like general entertainment consumption, Sopranos is like, I've been just marinating on that all year. Just little cuts off this succulent steak. Just bite after bite, dude. I'm going to be so sad when it's over. I've been loving that. So that's my other retro rewind recommendation in case you haven't seen one of the most popular shows of all time. It's truly aged incredibly well. All right. Whew. I've never seen that show. Sounds funny. Yeah, you should, Gio, you should check it out, dude. Like, it really, I think, still delivers to this day. I really do. Like, you know, there's just a level of, like, you want to be Italian after watching it. It's like, oh, the mob, huh? Yeah, that's pretty cool. Death penalty. Your shirt game's always on point, dude. Thank you. Yeah, shout out to Playside. They sent this through when Mouse PI for Hire had come out. And I love Mouse. That's my top 10 this year. So a shout out to Jack Peppa. Speaking of Sopranos, yeah, just very Sopranos energy in this. Just a lot of you know, Jersey, New York, you know, Boston, little bit of that. You know, it's got a little bit of that flavor into it. Everyone watch Good Time in the Lighthouse. I've never heard of this, but hey, give it a shot. Now that Final Fantasy XIV is on the stinky Switch too, are you going to try it again and give up on it once again? Hey, now, don't call me out. Thank you for your super chat. I mean, I like the idea of trying. I was listening to, let me bring up my Spotify app. Hang on. I was listening to, you know what? I could play it. Just put it on in the background. I can pause the Skyrim music for just one moment. Because frankly, I want to listen to it for a moment. We'll put on the Skyrim music afterwards. Hang on. Where was it? Was it this here? One Small Step. Was that it? Shit was so good. It got me emotional. I was like, damn, bro. No, Sands of Amber. That's what it was. It's from Shadowbringers. And I don't know, dude. I heard this track. And I was just like, bro, I think I need to play this shit. I need to know what happens. Let's text to my friend. Oh. It's so good. Sokin's a genius, though. Yeah, this came out of my Spotify suggestions. I was like, what the fuck? Come on now. Yeah. So, dude, just shout out to 14. I don't, just in case there's copyright, I'm not going to play the whole thing. But, dude, yeah, that is a track. Very, very good stuff. So yeah, I do, to answer your super chat, I do want to give it a try. After hearing that track, I was like, damn, this got some emotion, man. After I finish up these super chats, we'll get into my big Elder Scrolls theory. Thanks guys so much for supporting this. Splicer, good to see you, brother. You got to check in on my favorite live service game, Helldivers 2. Massive update tomorrow. 40K crossover as well. Hey, we'd love to see that. Yeah, if I play anything 40K right now, we're waiting for Rogue Trader. That'll be fun. Why did my lips do that? I went fun. Helldivers 2, though. Yeah, dude. Anytime I fire back that game back up, it's a great fucking time. It's a great game. Absolutely love it. I'll give it a look, man. Thank you. Me and my cousins beat Lord of the Rings in one day. Good memories. Yes, dude. You're talking about War in the North, I'm guessing, right? Yeah, for those, we'll talk about that a little bit later as one of our slop topics. But for those who missed it, Lord of the Rings War in the North got like a surprise remaster, which was honestly fucking awesome. When I got the email from Aspire and they were just like, hey, we're dropping this soon. Confidential code. You want one? I'm like, are you fucking... I was like, yo. This shit's been in the collection for a minute, dude. Like, yes, please. I was all over that shit. So, yeah, man. Pumped at the remasters here. Thought it was a really good time. Reviews up on Retro Rebound. If anyone wants to check it out. Aaron Gregg, Maddie, what's going on, man? What do you think? Is Elder Scrolls 6 going to be on PlayStation? It's hard to imagine. I don't know, man. Asha's moving different right now. It's hard to imagine. It's very, very hard to imagine. But that doesn't mean it's a no. It just means we really don't know for sure where Xbox kind of stands. They've given us kind of like a hot and cold approach with their exclusivity. All right, let me get everything up for our slop here. Hell yeah, this is gonna be a fun one. My craziest speculation yet. You haven't seen anything. Boardwalk Empire greater than Sopranos. We're not here for the Sopranos slander. Okay, you're entitled to your wrong opinion even if it's about a show I've never seen before. People just want to take the king down, man. It's crazy. Okay. All right, I got everything up for the slop. Aramon, thank you so much for becoming a member. And sorry if I missed anyone else becoming a member of this stream. Thank you, though. Thank you for supporting the streams. What do you think of all the lawsuits going on against Sony going all digital? I have yet to read into it, so I didn't make any videos on it yet. So I have to check that out. But that will definitely probably be a slop topic some point soon. So I don't have any like unfortunate up-to-date thoughts. I just know that what's their name? Stop Killing Games is doing the work. So we'll see where it goes. Uh-oh. Here we go. Brennan, what's going on, dude? Good to see you. Look up the Shadowbringers cover of Eternal Wind. Don't listen to Tomorrow and Tomorrow, which is based on it, unless you won't play the game, though. Okay. All right. So there might be spoilers, or it's just an experiential spoiler. Okay. I'll look this up, though. This is this soundtrack, bro. I'm just saying, some of the stuff Soken made for this expansions was a different tone from the happy-go-lucky Realm Reborn shit that I was like, man, 80 more hours of this? I don't know. What are the odds that Bethesda takes any inspo or lessons from KCD2? Maybe with how they stream data, like loading, that sort of stuff. I think that could be something they learn a valuable lesson. All right, guys. Who's ready? Let me bring up my notes here. All right, let's do some slop. I gotta bring up my Google Drive. All right. Let's do this. As always, please, you can spam the meat emojis in the chat. Let everyone know you've got your meat. Okay, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, you haven't seen anything yet. You thought I was full of speculation. You thought coursing through these veins of mine was just pure speculation. Well, I don't know what happens here today, but it feels like it's pouring out of my ears because Asha Sharma has left us with a tweet. And this tweet, while seemingly innocent, has given me a ton to speculate on. Now, when it comes to Elder Scrolls 6, you also have to understand, I'm starving right now. We are starving right now. We don't get a lot here. Bethesda's been a little cagey. But ever since Asha Sharma seemingly came in and went like, look, time to communicate. And Bethesda, even though when I emailed them and asked them like, hey, is this actually what happened? They said, we decided to do this ourselves. Whatever the story may be, Bethesda's feeling a little bit more talkative about Elder Scrolls 6 in big and small ways. So, with all that in mind, what is this tweet that has sparked such grand speculation that I may go on for way too long about it? Let's not delay any further. Let's read was about to say and weep, but I think really cheer, because it's at least something to talk about, for God's sake. So here's what Asha wrote. She said, live playthrough of the Elder Scrolls 6 asterisk this morning. The scale and grandeur are incredible. The story is even greater. Now, look, I want to park for a moment. There's a lot to take in here, actually. Let's talk story for a moment. Asha has notoriously said she's not a big gamer. Doesn't mean she doesn't know a good story, but I'm choosing to ignore this stuff because I also know people's opinions on Bethesda's storytelling very much differ. Like, I'm a big fan of Andreja in Starfield. Excellent character, but everyone seems to hate everything about Starfield. So I think there are points in Bethesda games even where the writing is great or the characters are great. Like, I love Fallout 4's companion cast, and I feel like they kind of got wild disrespected at launch. But that's just me. So I'm not really focused on her saying, I had fun. What is she going to say? Live playthrough of the Elder Scrolls 6. It's ass. Look out. No. Scale and grandeur, these are all to be expected. Bethesda already told us through an interview with Kind of Funny Games that Elder Scrolls 6 is more of a classic style Bethesda experience. So you'd have to assume on-foot exploration. So what is the news? Maddie, what? It's this right here, damn it. It's the asterisks. Because then Bethesda Game Studio responded and said, it was great being able to show you blank. Thank you for the kind words and a wonderful visit. What's going on here? Okay. Join me down quite possibly my most insane rabbit hole. Like, when I saw this, I went, oh, it's really nothing. But then I started to count up the characters. Let's do it together, shall we? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold on. I can't see. 5, 6, 7. Oh, fuck me, dude. I can't. Hang on. My mic's in the way right now. Hang on. Let's try that again. Let's try it again. Can I zoom? Hold on. This is important. Hang on. I have a zoom feature. Perfect. Perfect. This should... I can't tell if this is going to work. I can't see anything right now. Hang on. The slop is broken. I'm zooming out. I'm zooming out. Okay. Anyway. Fuck it. There's 8 asterisks here, okay? 8. Now, a lot of people have looked at this tweet with 8 asterisks and thought to themselves, setting? What could it possibly be? So, with all this in mind, I decided to dive deep down the rabbit hole. I can count, damn it. It's not 6, 7. I can count, damn it. Relax, chat. Okay. With all this in mind, I started to look into 8 character words within the Elder Scrolls universe. And I started to think to myself what this could be. Now, we've had predictions before, right? And what we have to consider with every Elder Scrolls game is the setting. Because, hey, Elder Scrolls 3, Morrowind. Elder Scrolls 5, Skyrim. It's setting-based, usually. However, Oblivion tells us a different story, right? Elder Scrolls 4, Oblivion. It's not called Elder Scrolls 4, Cyrodiil. Or you think about Elder Scrolls Arena versus Elder Scrolls Daggerfall. Depending on what's happening here, they changed the subtitle a bit. So, a lot of people were thinking it would be Elder Scrolls 6 Hammerfell, maybe, because that is assumed to be the setting of this game. And I'm a strong believer in that, and we'll break that down together here. But then, going to 8 characters, Redguard. However, Bethesda has already used that one before with the Elder Scrolls Adventures Redguard, which is a game, if you don't know it, maybe it's best left that way. I don't know, man. I don't know. I saw this game and I was like, even me, like a Bethesda diehard, just, I'm good. So that in mind, it's been done before. So you got to do something else, right? And it doesn't have to be a setting. And so let me get into my theory here on what I think this 8 character word is and how it informs the entire story of Elder Scrolls 6. Join me as we look at the Great War. This is a book that you'll find in Skyrim. It was written by Kurt Coleman. And what it breaks down is the rise of the Thalmor, which led to a war with the Imperials. And this was a bloodied war, right? Essentially, what I'm going to do is give you the Spark Notes version of all of this. So as this war is building up, it leads to, as you'll see here in 4E174, the Imperial City getting taken over by the Thalmor. Obviously, this is not good. This is the home of the Imperials, and the Imperial City has been lost, right? And so the Thalmor are quite the force. Still are in the Elder Scrolls lore. Now, the Thalmor believe we have won this war. You know, it's over at this point. And that was written in an excerpt about the Battle of the Red Ring, which, by the way, absolutely sick name for the battle. So when they thought Titus II was going to fold, like the Emperor is going to bend the knee out here and he's not going to fight anymore. We've just lost the Imperial City. They actually ambush the Aldmeri army and they take back the Imperial City here. Now, as shown in this breakdown here, they get a bit into, with the Battle of the Red Ring, how it actually resulted in not only them capturing Lord Nerfin, who they hung outside for upwards of 30 days, but the Imperial army specifically was in no shape to continue the war. The entire remaining Imperial force was gathered in Cyrodiil, exhausted and decimated by the Battle of the Red Ring. And it's also mentioned here that the main Aldmeri army in Cyrodiil was completely destroyed. So both sides had just sustained significant losses, right? And this is all what I think is a setup for what we're going to lead into with Elder Scrolls 6, but not really involving the Imperials, because one side that was helping the Imperials fight a war on a different front were the Red Guards, and that was in Hammerfell. And so when both sides suffered these losses in the Battle of the Red Ring, this led to the White Gold Concordat. Now, the White Gold Concordat, think of it like a peace treaty, but it had very harsh terms on it. Specific terms that I think are what set up the political tension for an Elder Scrolls 6, right? So here are the terms. They were harsh, but Titus II believed that it was necessary to secure peace and give the Empire a chance to regain its strength. The two most controversial terms of the Concordat were the banning of the worship of Talos and the cession of a large section of southern Hammerfell, most of what was already occupied by Aldmeri forces. But of course, this is the rightful land of the Red Guard. Like, what are you talking about? You're giving up our land. Critics have pointed out that the Concordat is almost identical to the ultimatum the Emperor rejected 5 years earlier. However, there is a great difference between agreeing to such terms under the mere threat of war and agreeing to them at the end of a long and destructive war. No part of the Empire would have accepted these terms in 4E 171, dictated by the Thalmor at Sword's Point. Titus II would have faced civil war. By 4E 175, most of the Empire welcomed peace at almost any price, right? So, Empire's getting out scot-free. Thalmor can stop losing soldiers as well. Everyone's good, except Hammerfell, right? So what's going on with them? Well, the epilogue in all of this covers it pretty extensively. They write, Hammerfell, however, refused to accept the White Gold Concordat, being unwilling to concede defeat and the loss of so much of their territory. Titus II was forced to officially renounce Hammerfell as an imperial province in order to preserve the hard-won peace treaty. So basically, they caved. The Red Guards, understandably, looked at this as a betrayal. In this, the Thalmor certainly achieved one of their long-term goals by sowing lasting bitterness between Hammerfell and the Empire. So we see growing political tension in more ways than one. Let's continue, though. In the end, the heroic Red Guards fought the Aldmeri Dominion to a standstill, although the war lasted for 5 more years and left southern Hammerfell devastated. The Red Guards say that this proves that the White Gold Concordat was unnecessary, as in the fighting continued, so what did it really accomplish? And that if Titus II had kept the nerve, the Aldmeri could have been truly defeated by the combined forces of Hammerfell and the rest of the Empire. So, they got more powerful. We could have beat them. We didn't stop them. Now they truly have everything they need, and they're taking our land. The truth of that assertion can, of course, never be known, but the Red Guards should not forget the great sacrifice of Imperial blood, Breton, Nord, Cyrodiilic, at the Battle of the Red Ring that weakened the Dominion enough to allow the eventual Second Treaty of Stros-M'Kai in 4th Era 180 and the withdrawal of the Aldmeri forces from Hammerfell. Concluding here in this book that you can find in Skyrim, there can be no doubt that the current peace cannot last forever. The Thalmor take the long view, as it is proved by the sequence of events leading up to the Great War. All those who value freedom over tyranny can only hope that before it is too late, Hammerfell and the Empire will be reconciled and stand united against the Thalmor threat. Otherwise, any hope to stem the tide of the Thalmor rule all over Tamriel is dimmed. So I find this to be a very perfect setup for Elder Scrolls 6, right? Here is this looming threat. It's the Thalmor army. You have this broken peace between all of these different sides. But obviously, you want to fight for freedom in Tamriel. But we're still working on this 8-character word, right? But you needed to understand some of the underpinning of the lore, where the Thalmor's in this, the Imperials are in this, and the Redguard in this. Now, you take Redguard off the table because you can't, I think, do that a second time. At least I don't think that would make a lot of sense for Bethesda. I'm thinking SEO. I'm thinking looking it up. Oh, this is Elder Scrolls. I don't know, man. Social media is shown people will fall for that and be like, oh, this is Elder Scrolls Redguard. So, and then you got the Thalmor. So the 8-letter word. What is the 8-letter word? My prediction is when Asha Sharma was posting this and Bethesda was responding with this, let's say that they were being accurate with the game. I think it is Aldmeris. I think this is it. Elder Scrolls 6 Aldmeris. For those who don't know, and I was reading about it today, Aldmeris, also known as the Isle of Aldmeris, the Island of Start, Lost Aldmeris, Old Aldmeris, or Old Elnofi, is the mythical lost continent from which the Mer are said to have originated. The Mer, by the way, for those who don't know, are the elves. The term Aldmeris also refers to the language spoken by the Aldmer. Virtually nothing is known about the elven homeland, its location, its environment, its politics, its religion, and even its existence are the stuff of conjecture. By some accounts, Aldmeris may have been located somewhere in the South Eltharic Ocean. According to Aldmeri epic poetry, when the ancients sailed to the Somerset Isles and landed at the northern tip of Oregon, they lost the means to navigate back to Aldmeris, but had reason to believe their homeland lay in one of 3 different directions: south, northwest, or northeast. Now, follow me down Speculation Avenue a little bit more. A lot of us have really thought about this idea of there's High Rock and there's Hammerfell. We thought because of that there would be boats in Elder Scrolls 6 Hammerfell. There's been a lot of, quote, leaks. None of them from, like, your usual sources, but a lot of Starfield leaks happened this same way, where, like, these 4chan level leaks ended up being pretty true, where Elder Scrolls 6 could have boat riding. And I'm thinking about this a little bit more where, sailing the sea, trying to find the Isle of Aldmeris. I think ultimately what this is going to have to do with is the elves, the lost continent, and honestly them just trying to find their place in this world, and also like the superior elven rule, a way to take them down. I think this is what they're going to get into, because there are parts of the lore of Elder Scrolls that you'd think for how many games we've had elves that this would be something they've already explored, but they really haven't. And so I feel like, especially because there's also touches of racism within the way elves are treated and how they treat each other, that the heightened political tension can really match that well from a thematic point of view if Bethesda chooses to write it very well here. There's a lot more lore here when it comes to Aldmeris that is documented here on this Elder Scrolls lore Bible. There's the mythology of it. There's the history of it. They say in more pragmatic records, the continent faced an unspecified threat or crisis, causing the Aldmer to leave in search of a new home across the seas. The Aldmeri refugees then became lost in a storm and eventually landed in Tamriel at 9 Prow Landing on the island of Oregon in the Somerset Isles. These Aldmer were the ancients, the ancestors of modern-day Altmer, and the Aelids also trace their roots to Aldmeris, right? When we think of the Aeliad ruins that you would find in Oblivion, like there's so much mystery around this stuff. The same way like the Dwemer ruins are surrounded with a ton of mystery in Skyrim as well. So I feel like this is something that they could actually try to answer with this game. And so that's what brought me, the 8 characters really did bring me down this rabbit hole of like, okay, what are 8 character keywords in Elder Scrolls? And there's Redguard, but I'm like, Aldmeris makes sense, dude. Like, I think they can't repeat Redguard. So I think Aldmeris makes sense. When you start to see the underpinning of the Great War lore, and then you start to see like how that connects to the Thalmor and how the Thalmor don't really know their origins. Like, this could be a story about the elves more than the Redguard. Like, there is obviously going to be, I think, if at the very least, I'm correct about the Great War book kind of setting up the story for Elder Scrolls 6 and Hammerfell. It's no doubt going to be a story a little bit similar in vibe to what you saw in Skyrim. Like, there's a rebellion ongoing. The Thalmor are creeping their expansion beyond the southern border of Hammerfell. And so I could see battles happening there. This is why one of my big predictions with Elder Scrolls 6 really went into the idea of big battles. I think Elder Scrolls Online tried to do that with PvP, but I think one thing that would be really cool to see Bethesda use next-gen tech for is like truly big battles. Like there were the Stormcloaks and the Imperials fighting one another in or the Nordstar, whatever. They were fighting each other in Skyrim, and they had like 5-on-5 fights, but they were wars, you know, and they didn't really capture the feeling of a civil war in Skyrim that well. So I think that Elder Scrolls 6 capturing true war between the rebellion in Hammerfell as well as the Thalmor fighting back, reuniting with the Imperials, storming them, and then learning more about like the actual history of the elves. That is why I think it is called Elder Scrolls 6 Aldmeris. I think that would be a sick name, and I think it would be such cool source material to dive into. This was just me like skimming around, you know, as I've talked about before. I should have led with this. I'm not an Elder Scrolls lore guru. I wouldn't call myself either a Fallout lore guru, but I definitely know that more like immediately, where Elder Scrolls requires this more deeper methodical look because there's eras and eras and eras of lore, and so much of it is word of mouth lore. So it's not like Fallout where there's like terminal entries like this happened, but rather Elder Scrolls where characters talk and stories are passed down, and there's no official way of recording that, where it changes over time. But one thing is consistent. No one knows truly where the elves originated from, like literally where on the globe. And so I feel there's something there. So look, man, I think this is why I said, like, I think the speculation is insane, but I do think there's something there to pick at. So I think personally that's what I go with. Elder Scrolls 6 Aldmeris. So thank you for listening to my batshit insane speculation. Keep in mind as well, though, one bit of additional context we learned last year that is worth covering here. I mentioned with the Great War book, this was written by, highlighted here, Kirk Coleman. Kirk Coleman has left Bethesda Game Studios. This is important context, not because, oh, his brain isn't here to shape this, but he was promised originally Elder Scrolls 6 after Fallout 4. And as we know, with the way things went, you know, Elder Scrolls, Skyrim, Fallout 4, 76, Starfield, now finally Elder Scrolls 6. So he left a while ago. And part of the reason he left was because of this. He said Todd promised him ES6, and then obviously it was going to be over a decade before they got to that, so he just moved on. With all of that in mind, it is possible that Kurt set up this story that I just read here for his Elder Scrolls 6, which he has talked about a little bit before. But he set it up for his Elder Scrolls 6, and Bethesda's going to go in a different direction with their Elder Scrolls 6. So we'll see, but definitely worthwhile context in who wrote this. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is my speculation on what exactly Elder Scrolls 6 could be. And yes, last thing I want to throw in here, thank you, Souls Jimbo, for this chat here, because I have it here in my document. I wrote, because it's about the Thalmor, I put an arrow. I said Aldmeris or Dominion. Like Elder Scrolls 6 Dominion, I think would be a sick one. And that might read a little bit better. Like, if you're thinking about Elder Scrolls 6 being kind of like easy to read for casuals, would you buy Elder Scrolls 6 Aldmeris or would you buy Elder Scrolls 6 Dominion? Because it's all about the Aldmeri Dominion still. So I like Dominion as well. I think it's something with elven implications. I'm going to go with either Dominion sounds a little bit more plausible because I think Elder Scrolls 6 Dominion, Elder Scrolls 6 Aldmeris. I think Dominion rolls off the tongue a little bit better. I can go with that. That works as sort of like a 1B to my 1A. So one of those two, though. That's my prediction. Chat, did I cook? How did we do? How did we do? People are saying I'm cooking. I mean, you know, dude, the speculation, it's just, you know, it's a gift. It's a gift. It's a gift and a curse. Elves is the focus. Good. Fired. You fucking cook so good. Excellent. Hey, let's go. Yeah, man. Like, I was kind of stoked when I was like, oh, the Almaris shit. I'm like, that's the angle. That feels right, man. Yes. With some spice and herbs. Cooking, but I think it has more to do with the war and the Dwarven side plot. What happened with the Dwemer? Oh. Hit me with some Dwemer stuff. Like, I admittedly am like short on knowledge on the Dwemer side of things, so I'd be happy to explore that path as well for Elder Scrolls 6. Thanks for the love, guys. Change your name to Mr. Matty Cooks. Yeah. Hey, why not? To think you and Cog about the yap about these 8 asterisks more. Oh, dude, 100% this is getting included in Defining Duke. 100%. Elder Scrolls 6 Hounding. We still don't know what happened with the Dwemer. Elder Scrolls 7, don't worry. You'll find out then. Let me get this speculitis over to Emmett so that he can get this up on Matty Slop for the masses. Sea Elves, yeah, Chase, yeah, that would be cool too. That's a whole other. Sea Elves is oh man, how could I not include that? Fuck, yeah. Thank you for the gift, Asha. I didn't think I'd be talking Elder Scrolls 6 today, that's for sure. What will be the new version of the Ayleid Dwemer Ruins? Yeah, what is exactly... Like, what ruins would be... Let's just look into Hammerfell. Yeah, because it's vast deserts, rocky mountains, fierce independence. Let's see here. Okay. I'm just going to be a complete lore noob with this. Oh, this isn't going to work. Let's go with that. Geography. Western part borders High Rock to the north, Skyrim to the northeast, Cyrodiil to the southeast. It's interesting how they're surrounded, too. I'm trying to find more about the history of the region. Diverse landscapes, beaches, jungles, grasslands, mountains, swamps. Yep, just use all those Starfield assets for that. The Red Guards inhabit it, who migrated to Tamriel following the partial sinking of their homeland. Okay. Okay. The Chain is a group of at least 3 islands. Yeah, lots of water stuff. Lots of water stuff. Let me see if they just go over all these. Sentinel. Kingdom of Sentinel is located northwest. Sentinel is a great city in the Red Guards. Okay. Fertile lands. Okay. I have an image of it. That's what it looks like. Nice. There we go. Sunforge, Reason Tamriel, Central Hammerfell, Stros Mackay, strategically located tropical island off of the south. It's renowned for completely steam-powered Dwemer ruins. Okay. Observatory of similar design containing a telescope. They might just continue it. No? Water dungeons is a good idea. History. Here we go. Dwemer. First era. Hammerfell was originally called Hagath by the Aldmer. Oh, so here's another layer. They could just call it their rightful land. Right there. It's just their rightful land. Deathland by early Nedic people. Both terms roughly mean the same thing. The Dwemer-Rorking clan settled the region after opposing the creation of the joint Dwemer-Chimer state of Resdain. It is said that the leader of the clan threw his mighty hammer, Volendrung, across the continent and followed it west to their new home. Well, you find Volendrung in Skyrim. Interesting. It's a great rare weapon. Region eventually became known as Volenfell, or the city of Hammerfell, after the Dwemer capital built near the location. Oh, this is totally going to be it's our rightful land. And people are going to call it woke. Oh. The Dwemer were eventually driven from the province by another worldly invasion of giant goblins. Oh. Any remaining Dwemer or Volenfell vanished in 1E 700. Okay. So, okay. Dwemer's presence. Aliens' presence, early inhabitants. Okay. So we can bring back the alien and Dwemer ruins here for sure. Tropical Islands is going to be interesting to ride around in. Theoretically, if Obsidian's new Fallout is better than Fallout 5, whenever that comes out, does Microsoft just drop Bethesda over Obsidian? No, they're not going to drop. Bethesda has their most important IP right now for their future, so they're not going to drop them. But do they turn Obsidian maybe into like full Fallout studio? Yeah, I'm sure that could definitely happen. Oh, that's the guess of the stream right there. Elder Scrolls 6 Howard. Absolutely. Oh, we got another suggestion here. My guess for the name is Sentinel. It's the capital of the Four Bears. It's part of Hammerfell that you can't get into in ESO, so it's completely Oh, that's another good one. Yeah, we're in the mix right now. Sentinel is a good one. We're in the fucking mix right now. We're there, dude. I think we're there. I think we're in the building right now. Good suggestion, lovely bit. Thank you. Oh, I gotta turn on my music. Showing appreciation for being a daily soundtrack. My wife also requests to see more of your dogs more often. Oh, Synchro. Let's see here. Let me get Rufus. Rufus, come say hello. Yeah, there we go. There he is. Hey, baby. Hi. He's like, I was fucking napping, bro. He's like, what did you call me down here for? Yeah. Yeah. He's so cute. Look at his face. Look at his face. Yay. Ouch. Ouch, bro. Oh, you're just so cute. You're just so cute. You're just so cute. Yeah, you are. Oh, look at him. There's the doggo. Matty, you have big disc energy. Keep it up. Thank you, dude. I try. Let's keep looking here. Rufus, we're looking at Elder Scrolls lore. Do you mind? That's what I thought. Elder Scrolls 6 Rufus. Yes. Over a century passed before civilization would return to Volenfell, when it did took the form of warrior waves, a migration from Yokuda known as Ragada. There's so much Elder Scrolls lore I don't know. This mass colonization occurred in 4 successive waves during the 8th and 9th centuries of the First Era and spanned approximately 28 years. First recorded wave of migration took place around 1E 780. After winning war against Emperor Hera, Frandar Hunding, Brendan, there it is, Hunding, and his army of renowned sword singers left their homeland and sailed to Hammerfell. Hunding's flotilla of ships landed in Hammerfell and discovered vast numbers of giant goblin strongholds. Okay, so there you go. There's another location type. Frandar refused to coexist with the Flint-Tooth tribe. Rallied his army to slay the beast. Frandar was killed in one of the early conflicts. Hunding pushed onward and forged the mighty Shehai. Oh, that's a cool looking weapon there. Nice. Which allowed him to drive out the giant goblins and conquer the Alkir Desert. Okay, so there's our first rare weapon. Right there. Bang. I was just asked this earlier, Chris. Thank you for your super chat about the Fable lore dump. It's clear I got to read into it. Yeah, I haven't read it yet, but I'll definitely check it out if it has major implications for Fable's story. We'll probably talk about it later this week. But thanks for giving me the heads up, guys. I appreciate that. What else we got here? Next wave is believed to have occurred around the time of Yakuta's sinking. Hold on, wait. Oh. Group of warrior sailors under the leadership. Yeah, they got to include boats, dude. It's so pirate yo-ho-ho shit. Discovered the Iliac Bay as he rounded Cape Shira. Yog-Hob, following the constellation of Steed, decided to make his home on the... Oh, I didn't notice this. Okay. Oh. Fuck, I'm falling in love. Decided to make his home on the northern coast of Hammerfell and establish the city of Sentinel. This is one of our predictions. Many of the Ragada kings were wealthy corsairs and raided Breton coastal cities and merchant vessels along the southern Iliac Bay. Ragada colonists from the island of Yath clashed with the Almeri clan known as the Coralania and attacked the Coralania inhabitants of Salas N and established their own settlement within the... Oh, dude, this lore kind of fucking cooks. Like, I can see all these, like, pockets of different tribes that could reappear that have, like, lived on after all this time. Fuck, man. Oh, my God, there's so much. Flora, architecture. Maybe that's what we're looking for here. Large Hog, it's been great, dude. I've been loving some MGS4. Hang on, my wife texted me. Just want to make sure everything's all good. Redguard buildings vary from simple tents to sturdy dome structures. Many... That's a word I keep seeing here. I'm part of my ignorance here. Yokuden. Bring me to the original. Yeah. Tombs. Okay. I like this. I like where I'm at right now. Who are the Yokudens, though? Be the first mentioning. Yakuta is a continent west of Tamriel, which partially sank in the sea during the First Era. It was the ancestral home... Ooh, underwater exploration, underwater cities. It was the ancestral home of the Redguards, as well as an ancient race of Mer known as the Left-Handed Elves. It was the birthplace of several... Dude, I think my theory is on fucking fire right now. Like, everything's... Oopsies. Everything's lining up. It was the birthplace of several famed Redguard heroes, including Hunding and his son Divad. It was also the nation that birthed the fabled martial tradition of sword singing. The native language of Yakuta was called Yoku, but after Yokuden migration to Hammerfell, it was largely replaced to stabilize foreign trade. Dude, I'm telling you, like, sunken ships, underwater exploration. Like, it's that Yakuta, that shit's right there. That shit's right there, dude. All they have to do is make this. They don't have to write anything else. They just have to make this. That's pretty fucking incredible. That is pretty fucking awesome. I'm excited. I'm pumped over 8 asterisks, dude. I'm fucking cooked, actually. Let's see here. A lot of sicknesses. Thracian plague broke out, first appeared in the mainline Tamriel soil through major port cities in the southwest coast. Hagath was the disease's point of entry. And then in the second era, the Nahetan flu. One of the most famous stories from the Nahetan flu, the Crimson Ship filled with Kurithingi refugees, it left shores of the Black Marsh, only to be turned back at every port. After a year on sea, they reached Hammerfell. With no one to shelter them, they sailed west. The book Pirates of the Abeshin tell the tales of a discovery of ship found adrift by a group of pirates, the entire crew dead. That's another location, dude. Dude, it's just like I'm actually like begging them, please just make explorable, handcrafted locations that you can find while on your boat. No, Brennan, I didn't think you were joking about Hunding, but when you were like Elder Scroll 6 Hunding, I'm like, I think you're onto something. Like that's the layer of the story beneath the like more serviceable like Elder Scroll 6 Dominion or whatever 8-letter word that's more we'll say casual friendly, you know? So we found tombs, we found sunken ships, underwater cities, towns, like there's underwater ruins, we could call them. So much potential for these optional locations. I might have to make a fucking video. This is like I'm feeling it. I really should just spend more time researching. But I'm also feeling it. This is what makes the slow drip and lack of spin-off so frustrating. Yeah, because it's like these are all things that they could have explored. They really could have. Like, all the pressure now is on Tez 6 to just do all these things, and they might do like 3 of the things I want. Good to see you, Rook. Zencha, good to see you as well. Thanks for your super chat. 100% Star Wars seems convinced a KOTOR remake re-reveal is close. I am holding out hope for it to be at Gamescom, which is the 25th. Yeah, I don't know if he did any more updates beyond his recent video, but if there's more, I need to know more. But yeah, the re-reveal, it sounds like it's maybe happening more with the anniversary next year. But either way, dude, if this shit gets re-revealed while I'm at Gamescom, I'm going to be so annoying. I'm going to be so annoying. Yeah, a lot of people are bringing up Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and I think that's literally, if that's like their touchstone, like if we get a pirate-based Elder Scrolls game where you're like sailing the sea, you're raiding ships, and you're like actually, I'm talking handcrafted locations, okay? Not procedural endless sea. You're actually sailing a handcrafted sea with locations defined that you can jump off your ship and go underwater. If they do that, bro, holy fuck. Holy fuck. Look up the wiki entry on Hundig, not Hunding Wild. Okay, let's, hold on. I got you. Hold on. Hunding. Okay. Here's the lore entry for Hunding. It says the Hunding, also known as Hunding, or the Make Way God, is the Yokudan spirit for perseverance over infidels. The Hunding has historically materialized whenever the Red Guards need to make way for their people. As in, like, get the Thalmor out of the way? In the First Era, Hunding is first known to have manifested as an avatar of Diagna. Diagna was instrumental to defeat of Sinestral Myrrh. Oh, this is some generational fucking beef, dude. This shit like, oh my word. This shit goes back. This is down to the very origins of the Red Guards and the Myrrh. Do you see what we have uncovered here? Come on now. It's written in the stars, Bethesda. Diagna was instrumental to defeat of the Myrrh as he brought orichalcic weapons to the Yokudan people to win the fight. A story surrounding the Hunding Gong details Diagna crashing his fist against it, and swords fell from the walls of the orichalc tower like needles from a dry pine. That's well written. I like that. Cookery. In Tamriel, he led a very tight-knit group of followers known as the Orsimer, of the First Orsinium, presumably the Order of Diagna, during the Siege of Orsinium. So many fucking names, bro. During the height of their power. He had then faded into obscurity and is now little more than a local power spirit of the Dragontail Mountains. Oh, so he's faded. We've forgotten our ways. Frundar Hunding was also an aspect of Hunding. During the arrival of the Yokudan people to Tamriel, he led them against Maluk, the Horde King, the enemy god of Ragada, who led an army of giant goblins against the Red Guards in the First Era. Then Hunding appeared to drive out the goblin force all the way. Oh, so Hunding is going to appear and like shove. Like that's going to be a big mission. We're going to hard shove the Myrrh alongside Hunding. Come on now. During the Tiber War, Hunding was said to have been a sword or a crown or both. This refers to both the crown, either or both Crown Prince Ator, the heir to the throne who was transformed into the soul sword, or Cyrus. And wait, is that from Redguard, like the game? Yeah. Oh no. Are we saying that this game has a good story now? No. That's enough. Together, they could have been an aspect of Hunding. Cyrus was believed to be more than just an ordinary Redguard, which is one of the reasons why he was able to slay the legendary Nafalil Largus, I think. Wow. Oh no. We are reading some of the Redguard lore. Oh no. Well, good story. Good lore. What they do with it is a different story. Is ES6 going to be $80? Yes. Possibly more. At some point, we're going to record a video talking about all the ideas I had for the series pre-Oblivion. Yeah, I mean, you and me both. We certainly waited a long enough time to stack up ideas. For me, again, it goes back to my favorite being getting Arcane Studios to do a Dark Brotherhood game. That'd be sick. Or like a thief game for the Thieves Guild, like that sort of shit. Good lore dives, dude. Lots of good shit. Look up info about the Adamantite Tower, please. Sure. Okay. Here we go. You have recommended a page that is very long here. So let's see what we got. The Adamantine Tower, also known as the Balfir Tower, okay, give me all those names, is a tall, circular, ancient tower at the highest point of the Isle of Balfira in the Iliac Bay. The tower was used as a fortress, prison, and palace by the Durrani hegemony, if I can fucking read, whatever. But its true purpose has remained a mystery. The latest magical... maybe it's like a pathway to Aldmeris. Who built this? The latest magical divination of its age places its construction around ME 2500. What is that? What? Merithic era. The Mer. Making it the oldest known structure in Tamriel. The tower has been modified several times over the years, but the cylindrical core of metal, which we're seeing here from ESO, has not been touched and is rumored to extend far into the ground as it does protrude above it. Its depths have never been thoroughly explored. As with all towers, the Adamantine Tower is said to exist beyond the physical and, in some sense, a part of detached from ordinary space and time. That's it. That is it. Something with the tower will bring you to Aldmeris. Dude. Dude. This is going to be a video, bro. I'm telling you, this shit goes deep. This is awesome. I'm so into this right now. One account claims that the Durrani had already called the Isles of Balfira their home when dude, this is what I'm talking about. The Nendinima of the Durrani took on a Breton by the name of Vuernet as an apprentice to study there before 1E20. The clan built a keep around the tower's base. However, there are even old catacombs beneath said keep, which the Durrani didn't build. In reference to their claim over the Adamantine Tower, the traditional ruler of Balfira region is known as the Castellan. The white gold tower in Cyrodiil was built in homage to the Adamantine Tower by the Aelids and is sometimes described as an echo of the Tower. At maturity, every Dirini of high blood is brought into the Adamantine Tower, conducted to the Foundation Vault, and shown the Zero Stone. During the ceremony, they are allowed to touch it once so they can feel the transcendent mystical power that courses through it. According to historical lore of the dawn of Merethic eras, the Adamantine Tower was created by the Aedra as a place. Dead gods are original beings believed to have arisen from interplay. Okay, just want to discussing creation of Mundus, planar realm of existence that comprises Nirn. Oh, this is some afterlife shit that's happening, bro. This is yeah, like this whole Aldmeris thing is some ethereal ass plane. The tower was then used by gods for discussing the punishment of Lorcan for his trickery of conceptualizing Mundus. The decision being to cast Lorcan's heart from the tower into the mortal world below. When Magnus departed from the near form Mundus, these names, bro. The gods that followed him abandoned the tower, leaving behind the secrets associated with it. Well, I'm curious about this Lorcan, dude. Yeah, give me... Who is Lorcan? Lorcan, the missing god, is the creator, trickster, tester deity present in every Tamrielic mythic tradition. Spirit of Nirn, god of all mortals. His most popular name is the elven variant Lorcan, or Doomdrum, which sometimes appears as Lacan. What the fuck, dude? How the fuck does anyone keep track of all this? My goodness. Take it easy, Uncharted Wolf. This is an insane rabbit hole. So, yeah, this is a creator god. Yeah. We have not gone far enough, I think. Shout out to Red Bandit for that. That's a good call out there. Lorcan is also sure in the Nordic pantheon. Lorcan is the goat of the humans. Thank you, guys. Yeah, like I said, where's my mouse? There we go. I like Elder Scrolls lore is not a strong suit of mine. Have you not played Morrowind? I never finished Morrowind. Yeah, no, yeah, okay, play Morrowind. Okay, all right. Sounds like I got some work to do. Yeah. Like, I never finished Morrowind. A Heart of Lorcan is why the Dwemer vanished. Oh. Well, now. This just got really... Jeez, Maddie, keep up. I know, right? Fuck me. Player of a lot of Elder Scrolls, but lore, definitely a weak point. Thank you for the help, though. Yeah, no, for real. I will 100% start looking into that more. That's so exciting, dude. A good time to look into that would be with the back compat stuff that Xbox is doing. Maybe getting Morrowind in there. Yeah. Morrowind's a tough play, I gotta be honest, but we can definitely mod that a bit. There's a YouTube channel called Fudge Muppet that has tons of... Yeah, I'm friends with the Fudge Muppet guys. They're good dudes. Really good channel. Shout out to them. Yeah, I think it's time to... So, I love playing Elder Scrolls games. I love exploring their worlds and interacting with their characters, but I think it's time to now give myself over to the lore. That was such an absorption. I was like, yo, I'm loving what I'm reading here. This is kind of sick. We got a couple of chats here. Lorcan is central to the man/mer dichotomy. Men who are shorter lived see life as a blessing from Lorcan. Mer see him as having robbed them of immortality. Lorcan tricked beings into Aetheris, into creating Nirn, which weakened them. Magnus was one of the architects and left before Nern's completion, tearing a massive hole into the sky, which became the sun. Wow, Jesus Christ, dude. Holy shit. No wonder so many of my YouTube friends were really into Elder Scrolls lore on like this deep of a level. It's just the thing that always put me off was like, you saw me just tripping over all the fucking names that they're called. Damn, that's good shit. Lorecon was inspired by the IRL Gnostic demiurge. Okay. I'm not going to pretend to know that either. Yeah. You guys are seeing me at a point of weakness here, and I'm okay with that. This is how you learn. Get some pizza and beer and watch some Morrowind playthroughs on YouTube. No, I'm too prideful to do like watching playthroughs as a way of catching up on stuff. I want to play it. Oh yeah, and Lorcan's body was made into the twin. Oh, this is. Oh yeah, oh yeah. By the way, I mean, I guess I should assume that this guy is more important than I could ever imagine. Because like, dude, look at how much like. That's insane. Look how many references. 91. That's insane. Insane. Yeah, Bad Dads, I did see the Lord of the Rings remasters. We actually reviewed it over on Retro Rebound. Gnosticism is early Christianity, but God is saint. Oh, jeez, I didn't know that at all. Holy shit. I need to learn more about our own world before I learn about fucking Elder Scrolls. Jesus. Man, oh man alive. All right. That was fun. Still got some more slop to go through here. My theory is that the elves wanted to destroy the Adamantite Tower because it's the last one that's standing because they were cheated out of godhood. Or would they want to just, obtain godhood? Could just be that, right? I don't know if they would use the tower for that, by the way, but I'm just saying, like, I guess is the tower going to bring them there or not? I don't know. I'm out of my depth. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know. I'm not at the conversational point yet, clearly. I'm reading. I'm learning. I'm absorbing. That's some fucking deep lore, dude. Oh, Josh is in the building. What's going on, dude? Top of the morning to you. Good work on the Lord of the Rings stuff, Josh. It's doing really well. So, how about that? Spider-Man may let us down, but not Aragorn. I haven't seen how's it doing right now. Yeah. That's that shit I like to see. 26K in 6 hours for a fucking 15-year-old action RPG. Yeah. Fuck yeah. Thanks for watching. Let me get the tabs up, or a tab up for our next one here. We're going to keep talking Bethesda for this next slop. And then we'll dive into Lord of the Rings, actually. Spider-Man 2 or Brand New Day? Spider-Man 2. I love Brand New Day, but definitely Spider-Man 2 is just the GOAT. I need some kind of mind map timeline or some shit to visually see all the Elder Scrolls lore connections, because that's crazy. Yeah, that's what helps me a lot, is visualization. But that's part of my job when I make the video. So if I continue to do this deep dive on Elder Scrolls lore and bring everyone to the forefront with me, by the way, because I know there's a lot of people who are like me and have no idea, but definitely want Elder Scrolls 6, you can see how quickly I just learned a shit ton of stuff. So I'll try to make that nice and easy for you guys if I can. Glock, thank you for your super chat. Some red guards have an ability called sword singing where they can manifest a spectral sword as an extension of their soul, alternative to shouts. Yeah, when I was reading that before, the whole sword singing thing, I would love for them to really just get combat on like a more interesting level. I mean, I think the games that they make are totally playable, but like whole on melee combat for TES 6 would be, I mean, and when I say whole on melee combat, I mean like really like getting into defensive and offensive options instead of just being this is your alternate power would be cool. Morrowind is my GOAT, not just in Elder Scrolls. So it's just your favorite game of all time. I mean, that's not surprising. The game changed my life, even if I didn't finish it. When I played it when I was a kid, it was like, I didn't realize games could be this big. So I loved it personally. You have to hyper-focus on topics when looking at Elder Scrolls lore because it's extremely expansive. Yeah, I mean, I was looking at a lot of the lore I was looking at goes back to like the first era, you know? It's crazy. I like a holistic view. Tried it with ESO lore, and it's a fractal view. Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing is that a lot of the lore we're talking about is also very playable across, you know, an entire multi-100-hour MMO. Which again, I've always played Elder Scrolls. Like for those who want to know my perspective, like I've enjoyed like the fundamental lore of Elder Scrolls, which I guess according to what some people were saying in chat with like LoreCon, I should just know that by default. So that's my bad. But I'm thinking about like the fundamentals of like these are your races, this is the world, this is where technology's at. You know, this is how steampunky it can get with things like the Dwemer. Here are like remnants of a past civilization, like with the Iliad runes. It's such an adventure exploration series for me, and I just love getting lost in its world and finding artifacts, basically. I love artifact hunting in it. You can feel a lot of like Todd Howard's love for Indiana Jones and just Skyrim and like finding these different things. So that's always what really drew me to those games, specifically Oblivion and Skyrim, especially Skyrim. Good Lord. Nox's library is very great and digestible for lore. Let me hit that up real quick. I will give Nox's library a sub. Thank you for the suggestion. I appreciate that. Fudge Muppet has video overviews of every era of Elder Scrolls lore. You should absolutely watch all of them. Okay. Let's see here. Fudge Muppet, Elder Scrolls lore. First era explained. Oh, wow. Second era explained. The Merethic era explained. The history of Hammerfell. Complete guide to the gods. It's crazy how many views these got too. That's awesome. Good for them. I didn't realize how popular these were. Skyrim style more are weirder than you think. Yeah, I love Fudge Muppet. Those guys are great. Let me, like I said, let's get this next round of Matty Slap rolling here. We're going to continue talking about Bethesda, so it's right in line with our subject matter anyway. So let's do this. We're going to talk Starfield, of course. Here we go. As always, please spam whatever meat emoji you got. Members or free. It's fine. Just let them fly. Let them rock. Okay. Here we go. Do I have any notes for this? No, I don't. I was like, yeah, I think everything's just within the body of the article itself. Okay. Let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for some Matty Slap. And this time, we're talking about Starfield. Favorite subject matter. And I think especially with us kind of getting on this whole Elder Scrolls 6 speculation train, I am officially a student of the Elder Scrolls lore. A lot of us are looking at Starfield and just wondering what lessons Bethesda could learn from it. And so I thought some comments from an ex-Bethesda Game Studios developer who worked there for 14 years and left in 2021 would be a worthwhile read. This is covered by IGN. And the headline is Bethesda veteran reveals how he would have designed Skyrim differently. And so I think this is a good thought exercise. And as we'll get into later in the article, this is not the first time we've really heard any of this. This comes from Nate Perkypile. He's since 2021 gone indie. He runs Just Perky Games. And I've had the pleasure of speaking to Nate actually earlier this year. I've talked about before how I'm trying to work on like a Bethesda related project where I'm trying to talk to all these ex-devs that I've covered in the past. I won't name their names because I want to put like pressure on them, but I'm trying to talk to all these ex-Bethesda developers and kind of collect a series of interviews to kind of put together into like a big kind of, I want to say investigation video. That's the wrong word, but sort of getting insight on sort of what changed with Bethesda, which drove a lot of their key players out. But no doubt Nate was one of those people. He was one of their lead world artists and served in a director position for a while before leaving because, again, with the middle management at Bethesda, he spent a lot of time in meetings more than working. So as a senior world artist and a lead lighting artist, this was not his calling anymore. And so he answered a question that was asked by the Examined Game, and I wanted to read it through this article by IGN. So here is what is said. In a new interview with the Examined Game, Perkypile said he issued a warning internally about Starfield containing 1,000 planets, something that became a dominant line in its pre-release marketing. This was a huge talking point for Starfield ahead of its release, and yeah, we don't need to read all this because we know the story, right? We heard 1,000 planets and we're like, okay, a lot of us went, if they can deliver Bethesda-style experience that we know and love across all these planets, cool, but how do you do that? And when we heard talking points like Todd Howard saying this game has more of our handcrafted content than ever, we started to come up with the idea, again, this is pre-playing it, that you'd probably get in these concentrated city spaces a lot of your gameplay time. It would be like that plus the surrounding area. So you go like to Aquila and you'd spend a lot of time there, but there was also a lot of surrounding settlements, but it wasn't even that. It was a much greater sacrifice than I think any of us, even skeptics, really anticipated. Because long term, and really, I mean, Starfield's a month away from being a year old. Long term, it feels like Starfield's already kind of old when you go back to it, you know, which I think says a lot about its design choices. It shouldn't feel that old that quickly, no matter, I think, what your opinion on Bethesda games are. Now, here's some quotes here. For us, we view it as giving you choices when you look at a system, he told Kind of Funny Games at the time. This is Todd Howard. Here's the many things you could do. This could include visiting barren planets that are only there to collect resources, or planets or with major cities with settlements for players to explore and progress the story in. Obviously, it's procedural, so there's no way we're going to go and handcraft an entire planet, Howard continued. What we do is we handcraft individual locations, and some of those are placed specifically, like the main cities and other quest locations. And then we have a suite of them that are generated or placed when you land on that planet. And so that is how Starfield was built. And, you know, to Bethesda's credit, like, you can feel it was built that way, right? You can feel the moments where it's very handcrafted, tailored, and then you can feel even down to its latest updates with free lanes and Terran Armada. While I quite like those updates compared to things like Shattered Space, which I did not think was good at all, you can feel they leaned more and more into the procedural stuff, more into what makes Starfield with this new content. So what does Perkypile have to say? They say, now 3 years later, after Starfield came out, Perkypile has outlined the problems Bethesda's design approach caused and how it played a part in Starfield not reaching the heights of the studio's Elder Scrolls and Fallout games. Quote, if I was in charge of Starfield, I would not have done any of that way at all. I would have done a handful of planets with bespoke layouts. Even playing Starfield after it came out during the main quest, I was running into repeated locations, like on the main quest. And I was like, well, yeah, because you're only going to have time to make a certain number of dungeons. And if you're going to have 1,000 planets, you're going to be repeating content, and it's not actually a procedural game. Like, those dungeons are built, they're not going like full No Man's Sky route or anything like that. So even early on, I was drawing parallels to Mass Effect 1 and how those procedural planets with repeated dungeons panned out. And I was like, I don't think this is a good idea, because to me, if you're going to do 1,000 planets thing, you really need to go full No Man's Sky route and have it actually be generating unique content all the time, not just stitching stuff together in a slightly different way. That's not procedural. I call it space quilts, where it's just chunks of things getting rearranged. And so this is a really interesting look, because there was a pushback internally, and we've heard this before from some ex-Bethesda developers of like, we thought it was too much. across the board. Like Bruce Nesmith had talked a lot about this and how he thought it was too much. So a lot of people thought this design call by Bethesda was too much, but specifically hearing that there were conversations and they were looking at examples of games that, Mass Effect 1 is a perfect example. A lot of people really do love Mass Effect 1 because of that procedural element. But the reality is that Mass Effect 1 was on the 360 at the time when it launched. Like, it was an exclusive for that system. And because of that, that scale did not get blown out of proportion. But interestingly, and, to BioWare's credit, even Andromeda didn't feel like the scale got out of control when they went back to that Mass Effect 1 parallel vision and had more power to do more things with it. It didn't get too big. Mass Effect Andromeda had its problems, but I didn't think gameplay, frankly, was one of them. It felt good to shoot. I liked driving around in it, but I never felt it got too bloated. But Starfield, as described here, ran into a lot of issues where, like, even in main quest content, you were repeating locations. And that's the thing that, like, it's the unwritten rule of RPGs. Like, you cannot... Everything in the main quest needs to be unique. It needs to feel unique. You can get cheeky with your design, but it needs to feel unique. It needs to feel like things have changed in a significant way. Now, continuing on here, Perkypile was then asked if he thought the ambition of Starfield's design simply fell short or if it was always going to fail. And he said, I guess that they thought this would work. And it's not that I think the game is bad. I just don't think it's great. And I think that's a big part of that. But I don't think the goal was ever to go fully procedural. So that was never the approach. And I guess it's just like a fundamental disagreement that probably Todd and other people think that works and could be a game that's made like that. And I strongly disagree and think a lot of what makes Bethesda games special and the way that those landmarks are laid out and get surprising is never having repeated content and having a lot of intention on where things are and why. Because you could go to Major City in Starfield and it's huge, but then outside the city, there's nothing, he continued. And it's like, this doesn't even make sense as a world. It's just like, oh, we didn't have time to do more stuff, obviously, because it's spent on other planets and we can only have so much time. So it's just this city. So it's incoherent from an environment standpoint to me. Again, I found this to be just really interesting insight on how people at Bethesda were thinking about it. And I would agree with this. I'm not a hater of Starfield. The only thing in Starfield that I'm a legit hater of is Shattered Space. But otherwise, like, I think Starfield's a good time. But it's my least played Bethesda game. Like, I put 100 in, I think, post Terran Armada, close to 150 in it. But I do not, like, with the way I get cravings for Fallout, the way I get cravings for Elder Scrolls, and I want to just open up those worlds and dive into them, I just don't get that with Starfield. I don't miss Starfield. When new content comes around, I'm curious about Starfield, but I'm never itching to play it. It's missing a lot of that magic. So what this comes down to, as we read it, was, as I've talked about before, a call by leadership that really bites the game. I bring this up specifically because I guess it felt very relevant to me. I was just talking to another developer today, and we were talking about how there are just, at a certain point in a game's lifespan, there are these decisions that you make. And no doubt this decision was a huge one, but there are even decisions that you can make that are small and just have cascading, repeatable consequences across the entirety of the experience. This was the fork in the road moment for Starfield, make no mistake. It was the moment that they looked and went, we go this way with like 5 solar systems, way more handcrafted, and that scale of content meets what we typically do, but a little bit more because this is on the Xbox Series X. Or we hit a number, 1,000 planets. And we do so at all costs. And we make the game procedural. And we achieve this no matter what. And by doing our best there, what if we pull it off? What if we get beyond just procedural? What if we figure it out and these planets basically populate themselves at a certain point? Because one thing that is written here that I'll actually jump to with Bruce DeSmith is part of why I think Bethesda went for this. Perkypile isn't the only former Bethesda developer to have discussed Bethesda's planet exploration after the fact. In October 2023, just a month after the game came out, Bruce DeSmith, who was the lead designer on Skyrim and senior designer on Starfield, before leaving Bethesda in 2021, told MinMax he initially proposed that it only have around 24 systems instead of 120 it ended up with. The point was, quite legitimately, that once you've done one solar system, doing 100 is not really adding to your work all that much. You have to know how to build a planet so people can walk around on it. You have to have various objects, life forms that they can interact with, rocks, all that. You have to do ice worlds, the crater worlds, just doing our own solar system, all our variety that you have to do for just that. You've done 90% of the work for the rest of it. And I think this was the idea. If I were to be a betting man on sort of what got Bethesda over the hump, because I think that's the big why with Starfield. It's like, why did they do this? Beyond like the obvious selling points and talking points, like, oh, 1,000 planets. Oh my God. You know what? This game's huge, right? No game's ever done this before outside of No Man's Sky. Why would they do this? I think the idea was they were going to basically procedurally generate all these planets. And then as Nate Perkypile kind of described, here's all the handcrafted shit. And we're just going to throw it on top. So think of it like a blank, I wouldn't say a blank canvas, but imagine you buy a canvas that is pre-painted. So like, here's the canvas, I'm setting it up, and it's got, think of the Frutiger Arrow picture. You know what I'm talking about? Here, I'll bring it up in case anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about. Hang on. Frutiger Arrow wallpaper. Hang on. It's, this will do right here. Let me save this image real quick here. Fuck, I just X'd it out. Hang on. Okay. Okay. So, like Frutiger Arrow, right? This is your canvas. You're handed this basically. Like when you press a hypothetically, you press a button and it's like, okay, there's your moon, there's your grass, this is like a planet type, and then you put things on it. I think that was the idea. But what ends up really happening is that they just had to, I think because of time, Starfield, as we've read, had a lot of issues when it came to COVID and developing the engine at the same time as the game. And so I think what ended up happening is the process got bottlenecked, and it was like, okay, we can barely make these planets. We made one solar system. Let's clone that 100 times and then drop everything on there. You just can't, when the scale gets that big, unless you want to spend more years on it. Like Starfield could be coming out now, and maybe like a quarter of those solar systems could have some unique things on it. But this is kind of what my brain went to. It was like, here's one of your clones, and then they were thinking we'll throw stuff on it, and that would work. Because the idea is, I think, an easy sell internally. The idea is like, look, we really don't, like, the player doesn't care about the grass, the rocks. They don't care about caves. They care about what's in it, what's on it. And there's some truth to that, right? When you get into sci-fi stuff, there is a level of like, your planet needs to feel a particular level of like alien, I think. It can't always feel like Earth. And I think they did a good job with that, right? They had different properties, but they didn't expand those enough either. Like until they started doing some of the features after launch with more hardcore stuff where, you know, your other meters that affected your character, from radiation to different sicknesses that you could develop, hot and cold, gravity. There was a certain feel to different planets, or just lack of gravity, you know, like that really helped a little bit. So I think I understand what they were going for. That's how I've rationalized it a bit. But Starfield continues to be talked about in this way where ex-devs are kind of coming out and being like, I don't know, man. So it's just interesting to get some insight on like touchstones, because we never really heard that before, like things such as Mass Effect 1, and genuinely looking at that. And so I just kind of wanted to bring this to the forefront, have another conversation about it. But what we do know is that Starfield is continuing on. Todd Howard did mention, and actually this is at the bottom of the article here, so this article is well written. This is clutch. It's got everything I'm looking for. Starfield continues, Howard read in a message, with over 17 million players. By the way, did anyone notice that they mentioned player count for Starfield, but they mentioned sales for Fallout and Elder Scrolls? It does say a lot. Almost 1 billion hours to date. Starfield remains an important part of our future. As we enter year 3, we'll continue expanding the settled systems with new stories, targeted gameplay improvements, and additional updates, while preparing for the launch of new Starborn content next year. More than 40% of players already customize their way of playing through creations, and will continue investing in creators and giving new ways to make Starfield their own. And so my only hope is that one day Starfield can mount up. If this is like, Starfield felt like it was on its last legs after Asha Sharma came in and said, you're doing Fallout, you're doing Elder Scrolls, you're doing this, you're doing that. It felt like Starfield was, I mean, they didn't give sales numbers. They gave sales numbers for everything else, but Starfield did not get sales numbers. And I just think that says a lot in this era of Game Pass. And so I'm looking at things like this and seeing that even though, despite it all, it survived, if Starfield can do anything, I'm hoping they can start to really respond to the feedback, because it feels like Bethesda's just avoiding the uncomfortable part. Like, Shattered Space, people thought was going to be their Phantom Liberty moment, like Cyberpunk had, where here's 2.0 and here's Phantom Liberty. Here's the turnaround. Shattered Space was not that. Then Bethesda goes silent, and as I talked about in many videos, like, the silence is not a good idea. Expectations are going to build up, and Terran Armada was dumb short. Free Lanes was, I think, solid. But ultimately, it just doubled down on Starfield stuff, which I think filled out some gaps in its kind of exploration and loot loop, but it turned it more into 76 than a traditional Bethesda game. So I am praying, begging, that they look more into things that Starfield does that could feel more traditional Bethesda. The problem with that is resources, though. And when you're low on resources, I mean, you go for more repeatable stuff because you can fatten it up a bit. So we'll see what year 3 of Starfield looks like, but do I expect this massive turnaround, all things considered? It's hard to imagine. I think Xbox and Bethesda both want to pour all their resources into Fallout and Elder Scrolls right now. But I'd love to see Starfield start to mount an offensive, but at this point, like, there's no way they're going to fill up all these planets, so I don't know. I guess you can only double down on what Starfield's doing, but I'm excited about the idea of the Starborn content. That's something that they teased at the very end of the story without spoiling anything. And so it had interesting religious style implications similar to what Shattered Space had some appeal with. So my hope is that maybe they'll do something interesting there. But it looks like on top of the DLC, they're doing gameplay improvements. So there's more to come. Will be a grand turnaround, though. I doubt it. But still interesting comments from ex-Bethesda developers here that I wanted to return to for a conversation. Chad, I want to hear from you on this. Starfield, not everyone's favorite for sure, but some people love it. Some people hate it, though. So what do you make of some comments here from Nate Perkypile? I think Bethesda would really benefit personally from making more official content, official feeling content come from their modders. So what I mean by that is like King Ath. Like, they are peers. They should be able to make something official for Bethesda. They should be trusted with that, I think. Or they're a safer bet than other partnerships. Let me get this over to Emmett. But I think that would help them out a little bit. Oh, I didn't realize I didn't mute the music during all that. All right. It is what it is. Come on, file, upload. There we go. Get this over to Emmett. Bethesda needs to stop going bigger with each game and instead focus on depth of their content. I agree. Dell's in the building. What's going on, bro? You have thoughts on Bethesda? Are you going to share them in your new video, sir? Always down to talk Bethesda. You know that. But if you're going to share them in your video, I will be tuning in. Yo, hey, speaking of which, I'm going to glaze for a moment here. Dell, I'm sorry. I might make you a little uncomfortable here. Okay. So, Dell Walker made a really excellent video here. This is his channel. And you should subscribe. Now, this video here, the greatest game dev of all time vanished. I'm not even going to tell you what he gets into here. I think it's that good. I legitimately think it's one of the best videos I've seen. I messaged him immediately and was like, dude, fucking perfectly put. And I just wanted to shout it out because I think it will help you understand, because like Dell's been a dev for a while. It'll help you understand what is wrong with some games nowadays. And a lot of what people say is wrong with games, I think is correct when we get into like content and like we just talked about Bethesda and the way they proceduralize their content. Sure. But his kind of idea of who the greatest game dev is and how that more imaginative force played into your greatest experiences and how, as technology progressed, that kind of cut it out. I'll only leave it with that. But like, it is a really great video essay that you should watch all 33 minutes and 35 seconds of. Like, I really genuinely think it's that good. And I say this as someone who like, dude, I'll like listen to a lot of gaming content because I'm obsessed for sure. But like on this level where I'm like, damn, that was fucking perfectly put. Like, this dude's a poet. He's an artist, but he's also a poet. So yeah, please give it a look here. I'm not just saying that, man, because he's a bud. Like, look up Del Walker, watch this video, thank me later. It'll really help you understand and it'll help you appreciate things like indie games and how certain teams make their titles. So go give him some love. There's 800 of you here, so I expect 800 more views. My pleasure, Del. Thanks for stopping by, bro. Thank you for stopping by so you can remind me of that. I was just like, oh, fuck yeah. Like, this feels very relevant with Starfield, where it's like, yeah, less imagination. All right, we got one more to get into today here. And this is non-Bethesda, but oh, it's a fun one. Oh, it's a fun one. Right. Hey, the hair is looking fire. Thank you. This is, yeah, you're seeing basically my hair when it's like summertime, nice and muggy outside. Dude. Yeah, just the lettuce gets a little benefit there. Sheriff X, Maddie, can I get your opinion on a matter? That'd be great. My friend just bought a PS5 about a month ago and recently found out about the whole Sony going all digital. Should he sell it? I mean, look, man, it really depends on the situation for them. Like, do they care about it? Because, like, I'm not I don't know. I take the kind of live and let live approach. You know, like if someone doesn't give that much of a fuck, I'm not here to force you to give a fuck. Because the only thing that matters right now in this conversation is if you authentically care about that stuff. If you care about physical media, I mean, I guess think of it this way. Like, you're going to return your PS5, buying an Xbox might benefit you more depending on what this disc to digital program is, which we'll learn more about, it seems like, this month, if leaks are to be believed from The Verge. So maybe that becomes a good place for physical games. I don't know. Switch 2 feels like the longest legs for physical. Like, Nintendo just shared numbers, and what was it? Their Q1 for this year, like, almost half their games are physical. So they can't pull away as easily as others. Like, it's gone up as high as almost 70% and fallen as low as like in the low 50s. So they've been like half and half at certain points. So Nintendo's, if you're like a big physical media person, Nintendo's a pretty good place to be right now. And people are warming up the game key cards a little bit more now, which is like, I didn't think it would get this dire, but here we are. And if they're not into all of that and they're just worried about like ownership, then like, I guess you could go to PC for the time being, but I don't know, man. Like, it's just, there's no real good house to stay in at this moment in time. So, should they return their whole purchase? It really depends on how much they care. You know, I'm not trying to bully people off of PlayStation. That's not my intent. It's just like, I'm trying to tell people like, you should care about your ownership. That's all. Dave Wonders in the building. Let's go. Hey, Maddie. Hope you've been well. Should I buy Switch 2 or wait for a new revision? Hope they do an OLED Switch 2. Also, just picked up Sapphire Blue Vita off of eBay. Any game ideas for the Vita? Bro, Dave, I got videos stacked up on the Vita on Retro Rebound. Just look up Retro Rebound PS Vita. I've got tons of videos about game suggestions. I think I have one called like playing the PS Vita in 2026. Give that a look. I have a ton of suggestions there, but also like buying guides for it. Yeah, like you got on Retro Rebound, all that stuff. So check it out. As for Switch 2 or a new revision, with the way hardware is going, the Switch 2 is going to see another price jump. I wonder how gung-ho some of these companies are on revisions for consoles rather than just getting steady supply in. I love my Switch 2 personally. I'm not waiting on like unlike the Switch 1 where it's like, oh, could they do a Switch Pro, or oh, could they do an OLED, or could they do a Slim? I don't really care about any of that right now with the Switch 1 or Switch 2. I'm pretty happy with it where I think you could jump on it. I love my Switch. I love it. It's a great system. But I'm also very pro handheld nowadays, so there's that. But let me know, dude. Let me know if you pick it up. But I would say grab it. If you got money, I think the Switch 2 is very worth it. Very great system, especially nowadays. Good price tag. Jorund, thank you for your super chat. Hey, Matty, longtime sub viewer since before Fallout 4. Great speculation. Thank you. Or is that a compliment? Or are you saying this is your great speculation? Either way, thanks, dude. Eleanor, 100%. Dominion, 100% for me. I miss Lone Vault Wanderer collab at some point, one if any. Yeah, that's something that'd be really interesting to bring Lone back into the fold. I think it would obviously have to be something that like makes sense, like Fallout 5 or whatever Obsidian's new Fallout game is. Get us together to talk about that. Yeah, 100%. I think that'd be like a good OG conversation. I've thought about that before more so, like, you know, certain, I don't want to name names because I don't want to, again, put pressure on people to collab with me. But I've been thinking about certain like Bethesda-centric creators and how it would just be interesting to start, like, I put my thoughts up on my channel for sure. But I think it would also be really cool to just see more overlap. Like, we went through a phase with our community in like the late 2010s where there was a lot of overlap and we collabed a ton. That's kind of stopped. And, you know, one of the people who really led the charge on that was Camelworks, dude. Like, he was always so good at getting people together, I think. Like, anytime we were in person for events, he was like, I'm here with Fudge Muppet. We're over here. Can you want to meet up over there? Like, he was just like, ever since I met him, dude, like, he just always got people together. And like, I talked about this on when he passed away. I was just like, you know, he was just such a good social, like, he was just so good, man. He was such an awesome guy. And I feel like that's missing the community. And I don't know if I have the ability to do that like he does. Like, he was just specifically gifted in that. But I was thinking about like hosting more collaborative conversations, trying to get more overlap, and how interesting that would be. So, yeah, I miss Camel, bro. Awesome dude. And I'd like to collab more, for sure. Thank you for your write-in, dude. Yeah, that's the term I was looking for, Mr. Devs. Glue. He was a glue guy, for sure. Perfectly put. Let's get this last bit of slop going, shall we? Here we go. Join me, chat, for a conversation that I can't believe I get to have. All right. This one's for the culture. Okay. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the opposite of slop. Well, although during this era, there was a lot of tie-in slop. But Lord of the Rings just nimbly got out of the way of a lot of it. And Lord of the Rings has so many amazing video games. So imagine the pleasant surprise it was to see Lord of the Rings War in the North is back. This is like, look, there's a lot to, I think, for a lot of folks hate on with gaming. Like, oh, it sucks nowadays. But bro, the fact that like I have this in my collection specifically because I'm like, this will never come back. Who, out of all games to bring back, like there's so many more big money opportunities. Who's going to bring back this obscure snowblind action RPG? Well, Aspyr had other plans as they announced and delivered on the same day. As you can see here, Lord of the Rings War in the North. This is the Legacy Edition. And so it's an Aspyr-ass remaster, as I describe in my review. So it is very much just they touched up the texture quality a bit, some mild lighting adjustments, if anything. They do some nice quality life enhancements from frame rate to achievements. They also add in the ability to swap between all of your playable characters. And as you can see here, yeah, these characters look pretty good, dude. Some of these locations look pretty good, man. But for those of you who are like me, we grew up on these action RPGs. This developer who made this game, if you've played games like Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, Champions of Norath, Champions Return to Arms, Justice League Heroes, like this is the team behind all these games here. And this was their last game, and it was the same comforting fun as all the others. So I personally loved Lord of the Rings War in the North when I played it in high school. I remember my friends and I were going through a co-op gaming kick. And as you do with the era of Xbox Live. And so I tried to convince them, like, yo, like, come on, like, let's play this. And they didn't like it as much as I did. So I ended up having to solo this. But the thing that Aspire did was make it very solo friendly. So just a shameless plug here. If anyone wants, you know, a little bit of that retro rebound goodness, you can find it here. And also, this dude completely copied my fucking thumbnail over here. This is literally, if you look up my 360 guide, this is legit the same thumbnail. Okay, anyway, Lord of the Rings War in the North is back, though. And because I was able to review this, Aspire had reached out through one of their their agencies that like disperse review codes on behalf of these publishers. But when they reached out with the code, I was like, oh, hell yeah. Like, I definitely want to review this for Retro Rebound and see what's going on here. I had a great time with it. So again, you can check out my full review on Retro Rebound. But I was saying in the opening of this video, you'll see I'm like pulling out all my Lord of the Rings games. I pull out Conquest. I pulled out the movie games. I pulled out Battle for Middle-earth 2. I'm like, we need to remaster these. And I can't believe I forgot to pull off my GameCube shelf. Of course, Third Age. Like, all these old Lord of the Rings games need to come back. And look, I used to be like, you know, there's no way that certain games can come back. But once this got a remaster, Toy Story 3 got a remaster. Once this happened, dude, anything's possible now. If Toy Story 3 and all these Toy Story games can actually get a remaster, anything can happen. Anything can happen, right? Think of all the legal hoops they had to jump through here. I see Disney here. I see Avalanche here. Of course, you had Atari involved in this. There was probably another developer involved in emulating these games. Like, there's so much that goes into this, right? So many partnerships and relationships that need to be formed. So if Toy Story can happen, and now we're bringing back War in the North, I was like, anything can happen. Bring back those Lord of the Rings games. And that seems to be exactly what's happening here. IGN has the report. More Lord of the Rings remasters are in the works. They write, Aspire has plans to re-release more Lord of the Rings games following its shadow drop of the Lord of the Rings War in the North on modern platforms. In a press release for the new version of War in the North, Aspire planted a small tease for the future of Lord of the Rings franchise in gaming. The Lord of the Rings War in the North Legacy Edition is licensed by Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment and is the first Lord of the Rings title released by Aspire, reads the press release. Fans can look forward to even more classic releases by Aspire from the beloved franchise in the future. Now, this is huge. This is like, wait, you're saying we can bring these back? Now, here's the kicker, okay? Let me grab this right here. Again, this is Lord of the Rings War in the North. And you'll notice, very small detail here, the publisher. This is WB Games, as also mentioned in this press statement here. Now, let me go ahead real quick and just grab a copy of, say, any Lord of the Rings game prior to 2009. Give me just one sec. Here we are, Lord of the Rings Conquest. And you might see a really interesting logo here. EA. EA, who just went private. EA, who is allergic to most single-player games that are not, like, wildly profitable, like a Star Wars Jedi or like It Takes Two. Like, they just, anything that's a small win, it just doesn't exist in their world. And certainly when they're trying to shed millions and millions of dollars of debt, well, I don't know if they'd be interested in something like this. Would they? EA, as has been described, we talked about this very recently on Matty Slop, they don't like to see others play with their toys. And EA would still get a cut of this, but when I was looking into the history of EA and Aspire working together, they do have a partnership, but it really stems from like Mac ports. Like Aspire would put together a bundle of Sims stuff, and that collection would go over to Mac. Like they do that for EA, taking their games and putting them elsewhere. But this sort of collection, like, again, EA was not only responsible for publishing Lord of the Rings Conquest, but also like the movie games, Fellowship, Two Towers, Return of the King. Those were EA games. Actually, I don't know if EA did Fellowship. I might be wrong on that. But I know they did Two Towers, and I know they did Return of the King. They also did games like, here it is, This is another one people really want to have come back. Battle for Middle-earth 2, EA published. And this game would really benefit from a remaster with a frame rate update. So the question is, will Aspyr be able to break through EA? And the natural answer would be, well, yeah, they promised more in the works, but what other remasters could there really be? And we're getting to that point in gaming where there are certain games that I remember so well buying it day one and playing it. Did you know that Shadow of Mordor is 12 years old? Yeah. That was a 2014 game, man. That could be a remaster candidate. Those games, IGN actually points it out here. They say here, I want to give them credit. Last part is a notable bit as it confirms we will see more re-releases of the classic Lord of the Rings games in the future. It's unclear which titles may follow, but there are a few possibilities. Aspyr has spent a lot of time bringing games to the Switch, so it wouldn't be shocking if the studio ported Shadow of Mordor or Shadow of War to Switch 2 in the future. What fans really want are the titles that were made under EA, though. Very well put. So that's where I thought. I was like, okay, WB is clearly on track. And I do think like a Switch 2 port of, say, Shadow of Mordor would be awesome. Just to be clear, like, it would be awesome because what it would be is a reminder of what we lost. That or Shadow of War. The Nemesis system. It's one of the most criminally underutilized games. Now, keep in mind here a couple of things. Is WB owns the rights. There is Middle-earth Enterprises as well when it comes to the game side of things. So it's possible that they can figure something else out here. But I look at what happened with the Activision games under Marvel, right? And that's where I get a little creeped out. That's where I get a little worried. Now, Xbox could still be our savior in this because we saw how Xbox was saying, just give us permission and we'll basically like list your 360 games. But ignoring that for just a moment, I'm looking at remasters with, again, games like Battle for Middle-earth 2. Like, this would benefit big time from quality of life updates. It's cool that an RTS Middle-earth game is available on 360, but this thing, like, it's scratching and clawing its way to, like, maybe 30 frames if you're lucky some days, man. Like, it's a tough play, for sure. But it's a great game. It's a tough play. But I look around at the Activision games that were licensed. This whole early 2000s era up into the 2010s. I mean, I've talked about it before in our wish list, but like this Raimi Spider-Man games, Web of Shadows, Shattered Dimensions, any Wolverine games like X-Men Origins Wolverine, X-Men Destiny, Deadpool, like all these things up until like 2014 with Amazing Spider-Man, like all these games got delisted because Activision just had the Marvel license, and all these tie-in games are wrapped up in such legal shit that the fun goes away now. It's like, oh, you know, you got to check with this person, that person, and you can get sued and whatever the fuck. I don't know, dude. I've never been in the room for one of these conversations, but I assume it's just like a bunch of, that's going to cost a lot of money and there's going to be a lot of problems here. And in the case of like games that I'd love to see come back, though, you know, I do look at things like what we saw happened because, okay, let me take a step back here, right? Pandemic here. They made Lord of the Rings Conquest. They were also the developers of Battlefront. And I remember being really surprised when Battlefront Classic Collection came out because this was something that, like, I was like, wait, they got their hands on like the old ones. But this also stems back to LucasArts. It was part of like Lucasfilm Games. And so there's like a Disney continuity there where it started to make more sense that, okay, the developer's gone, but the publisher, there's still like, that was always in the Lucas and now Disney sphere where Aspyr could bring those games back. That was a stunner. But if there's something with the dev side, like maybe we could at least see Conquest come back. That's the one I want to see the most, man. I cannot tell you all how much I love this game. If you've not played it, it's literally Star Wars Battlefront, but it's Lord of the Rings. It's got classes. It's got, you know, good side, bad side. It's got campaigns. Like, it's got really great multiplayer when it was active. It's a really incredible time. So I'm trying to temper my expectations a bit because I feel like the WB stuff would come first and there's very little there. I would be all over like a Shadow of Mordor or Warport to Switch 2, but I think what we're all really looking for here is like true remasters of those older games. And that's where, again, I go deeper down the rabbit hole. I'm thinking to myself, well, if I'm Aspire and I'm looking at all the Lord of the Rings games that I can remaster, all of them, would War in the North really be my first pick? It's a great game. I love it. As you'll see in my review, on Retro Rebound, I think it's awesome. But is it like my favorite? Is it the general consensus favorite? I think games like Third Age, games like Conquest I just mentioned, all these games, the movie games even, are more loved, more popular. And so I feel like they would have started there if you were to ask me, personally. So, you know, if they had that option, I don't even know if the option was available then. So they had to start with, okay, we're going to work with WB. They're playing ball with us more. We're going to do something like Lord of the Rings War in the North Remastered. So I'm thankful it exists. I just hope it leads to the EA era. I know the money's there. I just know because, again, EA, the problem is it's just not big time money. But I'd love for that partnership to be struck because, like, can you imagine if they got their hands on, like, Dragon Age and some of the quality of life updates they could bring to Dragon Age for EA? That'd be sick too, man. Like, I'm dreaming a little bit, but I think that War in the North will do fine for them. But also, I think just it's time to bring back some of these legacy games, man. So much abandoned software in our industry. So whether it's back compat with whatever Xbox is doing with disc to digital, or it's more Aspire remasters, I'm just happy that we're starting to see some of these licensed games make a comeback like Toy Story and now like War in the North. And I just hope it only leads to more. So we'll see, but still pumped nonetheless about this Shadow Drop. And now I kick it to you, ladies and gentlemen. I know I got a lot of super chats to catch up on, but I'd love to know what you think happens here with like this whole EA involvement as a publisher for these Lord of the Rings games. And does anyone bend in this situation, or are we left with just ports of old Lord of the Rings games from about a decade or so ago? Let me know. Let me send this over to Emmett. Meanwhile, I forgot to turn off the music again for a video. Good Lord. I got to keep my headphones on. R.I.P. Camel, I miss him too. We need more overlap. And it was a compliment to you, keeping you. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, and R.I.P. Camel, dude. I miss him, man. Good dude. Dave Wonder 31. Thanks, man. My little nephew came over today and had the Switch too. I was checking it out. I got him in the Ninja Gaiden 2. He's only 6. So it might be a bad uncle, but he's having a blast. Screen looked great too. Way bigger. Yeah, dude. Yeah, Ninja Gaiden, dude. I mean, I played that when I was young too, so I think he'll be all right. But you're definitely being the cool uncle by hooking him up there. But yeah, bro, the Switch 2. Yeah, if you got the hands-on experience and you liked it, yeah, it's up your alley. And just imagine if one day Prototype comes out on the Switch 2. That'd be sick. War in the North is slept on. Great game, in my opinion. Dave and I, we're on just this wavelength, bro. Dave's still cooking. Dave has yet to miss. 6 Joe 9, thank you for your super chat. What's up, Maddie? I've been watching since the Fallout 4 wishlist series 11 plus years ago. Any plan to implement Elder Scrolls 6 wishlist series anytime soon? Probably not. I kind of like, I don't know. I don't really get as much enjoyment out of wishlist. I like doing more like what we were doing earlier in the stream, like informed speculation. That's what I really like to do. I appreciate this though, but kind of I don't like to form it around like a wish list, because what I've learned in game development is a lot of these decisions are made very early. Fuck me. Keep burping. Sorry. A lot of these decisions are made super early though. And so ultimately what happens is like, I'm just kind of like wishing for things that they couldn't even act on. It's more like, you know, they can make tweaks at certain points, but like once they're pretty close to reveal, it's like all the decisions have been made. So, I don't know. I'm less in love with the idea nowadays like I was when I was younger. Yeah, man. Those are our slop topics though. This was a good one, man. This is a fun ass stream. Just like all the different things we hit throughout. This was a lot of fun, man. I did not expect to be sitting down doing a lot of deep Elder Scrolls speculation, but here we are. Here we are. We're doing some good shit, man. This was fun. And I thank you guys for showing out. All right. Want them to remaster Champions of Noreth and Champions of Norath Return to Arms. Yeah, Aaron, I don't know why we got from... Who did that? Who did the remasters for those? We got a remaster of Dark Alliance 1 and 2, but they never touched Champions. And I was like, what the... See, it's the weird thing about this industry. It's like, why the fuck did you stop halfway through? You weren't done yet. You weren't done yet. You best be a lore master by next stream. Yeah, I'll try. I'll try my best. It was a little nugget of hope. I agree, Six. I agree. Yeah, it was a little something to dive into, for sure. Gave us a lot to work with. So that was fun. Yeah, sheesh, man. She's cooking over there. I was just impulsively checking Reddit Gaming Leaks and Rumors to see if like anyone posted like, you know, because usually when these companies open their mouth, these leakers go immediately like, okay, here's like the actual code name or the subtitle for Elder Scrolls 6. I hope no one leaks that. I really do. I kind of like the speculation and the fun. So I hope that doesn't get leaked. Jonas, the vibe was good. The vibe of the Elder Scrolls conversation was good. Maddie, help solve this debate. Are left-handed people better at golf than right-handed people? I don't know. I don't know, actually. I'm right-handed, and I'm okay at golf. So, I mean, I haven't played in a few years now. I expect a full report on the Yokudan gods by next Tuesday. I'll try my best. I don't want to accelerate the learning because then I'm just like frauding it up, but we'll see what I can do. Obviously, sometimes circumstances demand me learn very quickly. Yeah. Anyways, guys, it's about to be 8 here, so I'm going to get some dinner, and then I'm going to fire up Oblivion. I'm going to continue my Elder Scrolls marathon here. The fun doesn't stop for me. So I'm going to continue my Oblivion, or I'm going to start my Oblivion playthrough on Switch 2 and see how it goes. You can look out for a video on that tomorrow on the channel. So stay frosty. We'll no doubt talk all things Elder Scrolls, but... keep an eye out for that. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Love you. And we'll talk very soon. We'll be live this Friday for more news streaming. I'm actually ahead on my recording schedule, so I know for a fact I will be live unless something crazy happens. Anyway, guys, thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging. Thanks for such a fun time. And sorry, Josh. I know you just got in the room, bro. I'm sorry, dude. But we'll talk soon, all right?